Welcome to another episode straight out of Stanton. Uh, it's going to be a rough one and a long
There,
one.
yeah, yeah. There's gonna be some salt this time, but yeah. I mean, as usual, try to just be as balanced as we can be,
Yeah,
and just as honest as like kind of how we're seeing things, I guess. But yeah,
maybe worth saying what I said. So last ATC, well, not this. Like there's today's ATC. Mike's answer call. I was on the last one, last week's
Mm.
one, and the first thing I said was, "Yeah, I don't hate Star Citizen. I don't think it's a scam." Just to remind people, because you
yeah,
can't say everything at all the time. You can just remind people all the time. So yeah, whatever we say today does not mean we hate the team or specific people or whatever, but there's some touchy things and topics that we need to talk about, as I'm sure majority of people who watch our podcast knows already, kind of.
Well, and let's be honest, if you're in any way following Star Citizen right now,
Yeah.
like there's been some explosions after the most recent roadmap roundup, and we're gonna kind of dive into it, kind of dissect what was said, kind of give our thoughts on it, and you know, try to add some
Our takes,
I
I
don't know,
guess.
articulate, yeah, some articulate kind of discussion without just jumping in on and bandwagoning
Yeah.
if possible. But yeah.
Before we go in, though, I'm just gonna briefly mention. So we're gonna talk about standard things like what we did this week, which will be a lot of Star Citizen. I did play a lot of game in general. Tried many loops and also Xeno. Gonna talk about that. And then we're gonna hop onto the news. We're gonna touch on ICs and SELs in the past two episodes of bot a little bit. And then we're gonna break into roadmap roundup, which is going to be probably the bread and butter of today's episode. As we said, our topic will be kind of breaking down Jumptown 2.0 stats uh, from our perspective, and what did we kind of learn from these stats, and then we're gonna have our imagination station. Well, you gotta stay for that one to see, and also like depending on how long we stay up, because this is going to be a
Yeah.
super chunky episode for sure.
Yeah. Actually,
Although,
that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah, then we can kind of decide which imagination station we want to go with here,
yeah,
depending on how long we've already been going.
exactly.
Because the one I proposed it has the potential to be a pretty hefty conversation. So
True,
yeah,
true.
we'll see.
If
We'll see
we're
how long it takes us to get through all this.
I mean, we talked about a lot of things before, even going live on Twitch. By the way, if you want to watch this live and join us in conversing about things, we almost always do this live at twitch.tv/Masocast. Follow Maso's Twitter that you can find in the description if you want to see when he goes live. But also, even before that, we kind of had a long talks about this, because you got to be a little bit, you gotta be careful with what you're saying. I don't want to like say too many things, offend certain people for no reason, just because we're passionate and whatnot. So who knows, if we go over this quicker than we expect, then we can even do both of the imagination stations. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we're gonna be wrong this time, as we think it's gonna be long. All right. Since I am going to talk a lot about Xeno in what I did last week, do you have anything you wanna mention about your last two weeks or so of?
No, I haven't had a ton of time to game, unfortunately, this week, but I've been trying to finish up a second playthrough of Cyberpunk, and I just kind of plunked away on that a little bit. The only thing Star Citizen related is my brother is into Star Citizen big time right now, and was messaging me all excited this week because he finally got the credits together to get a Caterpillar. He's always wanted one, so that's kind of cool. I
Awesome.
know how that feels. That does feel
Yep.
pretty good. Yeah, and the cat's an awesome ship. Let's be honest. So
And I think it
you know.
works again, so that's kind of
Oh yeah, that's right. It was broken for a
cool.
while. right. I forgot about that. I don't have my cat anymore, and I'm not gonna lie, like I do miss that ship. I mean, it has such a cool feel to it. So yeah. Plus, like all the,
Yeah,
I mean, this is down the road in Imagine territory, but like the potential for modularity in that thing is
it's
really cool. I
one
think,
yeah, one of the most like crazy concept ships in games. Like it's
yeah,
insane.
yeah, but yeah, no, that's pretty much me. Like you were the one who's been trying to play Xenothreat and stuff. I just
Yeah.
haven't really been able to get up the desire to jump into Star Citizen. So yeah,
I just want to say, like, apart from Xenothread, I actually played loads of Foxhole again, and man, that game is so
yeah,
much fun. It's so. I hope one day you're gonna play and we can play together because we're hoping to get like 3, 4, 5 people to have like a little squad and do some parties and things like go behind enemy lines. And we discovered we now have our own island in the game. We're pirates. We like
yeah,
literally go to the enemy like through the river, and if we survive we like sneak out, steal their vehicles, put them on our barge, and like take it back to us and whatnot. It's kind of silly
that's
making our
funny.
little gameplays. It's so cool. That game is a true 10 out of 10 uh sandbox experience. I love it.
Yeah,
um
I have
kind
it.
of
I
glad
have it on my wish list, but
yeah
yeah,
I'm glad I didn't found out about it earlier, because probably wouldn't get the job that I got. I don't even know if I will be playing Star Citizen. Who knows? It's been in
right,
like beta forever.
right.
Okay, so as some of you know, I think we mentioned it. A friend of mine and fellow streamer Esotic got the game, so I did play with her a couple of times and a couple of other friends, and then we kind of made a deal that we're gonna hop into the game again when Xenothread starts. In the meantime, I tried doing some mining and cargo hauling again, and I've lost all my money again by sending it to my alt account that, even though it was logged in, it somehow did reset and was not logged in, so all the money was gone. Um,
Shit.
and whatever. And came
Yeah,
to a conclusion that the best way to make money still is killing surveillance cameras, which kind of sucks, man. Like, I don't know.
it's pretty boring. Yeah,
I mean, it's like you have Aurora and you're making like 200K per hour or something without any investment or anything. I don't know. Just yeah, whatever. Um. Anyways, that was
have they
actually.
fixed?
Hmm?
Fixed the respawn or like the spawn timers? That was the really frustrating thing when I tried playing closer to the end of 315. Don't think I played 316. But like bounties were taking a long time to spawn, and the satellites for the surveillance missions were taking a long time to spawn. Claim jumper turrets were taking a long time to spawn, etc., etc. Is that
I
something
haven't
you noticed, or
I'm not doing claim jumpers. Uh. Wow, we start recording. This starts like I don't know why this is happening. It's only we didn't have any issues recording the other podcast. This is
oh,
so
where we get the
silly,
like
right?
hitching in the video? Oh yeah,
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 I don't think it like actually happens on the recording. So yeah.
right. But
Um.
like stuff was spawning okay at least for
So
like
for
when you're
me, it
doing.
was I never do claim jumpers. I did
Yeah,
some atmospheric bounties for a bit. Not really getting any kick out of it, and but it was spawning okay. And then yeah, the surveillance was fine for except for when you there's no missions around, which is kind of annoying. But then you just like hop servers a couple of times, whatever, something. Or planets. But yeah, so I was waiting for Xenotrat, and man, you know what? I just want to like start with when Xenotrat came out for the first time, and I loved it, man. Like it was such a great experience. A lot of people joined together. It always felt like we were doing something together. There was a problem with like gating, if you remember, like where we would do like first like part of the mission, and then we would have to wait for a couple of days for javelin to jump and whatever. I don't even remember. It was kind of dumb. But apart from that, like defending Jericho was fun. Gathering things in wherever you jump was kind of cool, and bringing it back to the Jericho.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Defending those who are doing the little boxes was fun as well. Everything was cool, and the whole server was there. And okay, so somehow this is now third time we're having it, and they are like kind of iterating on the whole thing, and you would expect it gets better. And for some people, maybe it is better. For me, it's much worse than what it used to be. Um, First of all, just like the bugs. So Javelin, I don't know if you remember, Maso, but like when they pushed the patch, they said we can't have Xenotread because there's a bug on PTU. The Javelin
Right.
is disappointing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So a week later, we get the patch. Oh, sorry, in the same patch, we get Xenotread working, and Javelin is disappointing. So either just like release it and say we have an issue, or don't fucking release it until it's fixed. You know what I mean? Because it's you invest so much time. Like right now,
Yeah.
Xenotrad takes like 2 hours or so, and then the culmination is fighting with that ship, and it just disappears. Not
Hmm.
always, but it's like super random what happens. Um, the other thing,
And that basically prevents you from completing that phase of the mission, hey? So you don't get rewarded?
you don't even get the mission anymore. So you get the reward. So it's still you can still like passively farm money there. Like every couple of minutes, 2,000 gold, is on your account. You can literally just
Right.
land on Jericho, and if you have the main mission accepted. So once you finish, you fix once you bring everything in, and Jav is like fixed, you get some amount of money. I don't know now, but like 15K or something like that.
Okay.
Plus everything you got before, you probably get about 100K altogether, which is okay. But 2 hours again, like it's not,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not very
That's a
lucrative.
yeah.
It used to be a lot of money, right? Like it was actually pretty damn good. Now it's like okay, it's okay.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, the last one, I don't know how much you get out of it. So here's the thing: I did it several times. When you are defending Jericho, that experience still somewhat okay, because you're just fighting like one Idris and few more, I don't know, smaller ships that you can tackle. There's usually 5 to 10 people around Jericho. An okay experience. I enjoyed that. If you try to go where the boxes are being collected, dude, I tried defending there with my what was I flying? Uh, what's the big ages? Vanguard, uh,
Vanguard?
the electronic one. Sentinel.
Sentinel.
So I was using Sentinel, and dude, back then, you they used to come in waves. Xenotrad would come
Yeah.
in waves, so you would kill like 5, 6, and then you would
Yeah,
like
and then
fly
you'd have
near, maybe help the guys if you can,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
spawn up again. You jump in, and they never stop. It's like playing Space Invaders.
Hmm.
Like
So you
as
basically need like a constant combat air defense. Like
Yes, but I don't. I think the more you kill them, the more they spawn. I don't know. I can't figure out. I don't think they ever have like more than like 10 ships in the area. But if we like keep killing them, they keep spawning, and it's dude that last like that stage lasts for like an hour, hour and a half.
yeah,
It's so draining, and you never
right.
feel like you are accomplishing anything. It's really from my perspective and for my own
Hmm.
enjoyment, that was a really bad gaming experience.
Right. So I'm wondering like if they did that like on purpose just to like keep the people who want to do combat busy through those kind of more gathering sessions and then just kind of missed the mark because, the result is that it just ends up overall just taking longer and not being necessarily any more fun.
it was great before because you would clear them there, and then she would say, "Oh, there's a um Idris coming at
Right.
Jericho." So
Yeah.
you jump
Yeah.
there, you fight that, you come back, help these guys, right?
Right.
Um,
Whereas like the guys who are moving the boxes and stuff like that, like once you cleared their area, they were basically clear to like just load up, hey.
that was on a timer, right? So you would clear that area, and then they have like 10 minutes or so to like not worry about Xeno threat,
Yeah.
which was really good experience, honestly.
I'm struggling to remember. Like I played it. I played Xenothreat 1.0. I don't think I ended up playing Xenothreat 2, and now
I don't think I
Xenothreat
did
3,
either.
obviously. But yeah.
Here's another thing:
Mm.
like if you have ballistics, you need to
Oh
jump
yeah.
back to Mikael 1. Why are we not able to refuel and repair on Jericho? I just don't fucking get it. It just makes no sense. They're
I don't know.
repairing
The only thing
fucking Jav. Of course they can repair
is
like an
there.
arrow.
I can't even remember. Is there a um ATC on Jericho? Like, or do you just land on the
You
pads?
just
I
land.
seem to remember you just land. Yeah. So
But
I
you
wonder if
just
it's
land.
that. I wonder if they just don't have like a an ATC
Yeah,
plugged
man,
into
but
that
we can
station.
we can repair and refuel on moons as well, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
You can
Hmm.
literally, without using ATC, you can go to PO and or any RNR as well, right? So that I don't know. I think they want that to be like gameplay feature, but oh, let's keep going, and I'll explain why this is also bad, because like just further down the road. So let's say, by the way, like people who are delivering boxes, it's such an annoyance to be under fire constantly, because I don't know if you remember, but you leave your ship and you're like, you need to kill NPCs on the, you need to like hack
Yeah,
into it
yeah.
to kill NPCs. You start like putting things on your ship. You gotta dissect like which ones go where, right? And then your ships gets blown up because there's so many. It just not, it's
Right.
just
Yeah, yeah. Like
crazy
so
experience
unless you have like a big combat air defense group there, it's like, like
on a
you're
50 people server, like where
yeah, yeah.
like
Like
where
there's just
people are disconnecting or what.
something's gonna slip through and take out one of your ships.
To me, this is horrible. It's like I got so frustrated.
Hmm.
Like I wrote messages in our like little log or
Yeah.
whatever, and literally I was in caps, f this and whatnot. I'm not gonna say everything that way, but this was my frustration, like each time I would try to do something.
Hmm.
um
Well, from what I've been seeing on on social media streams and stuff like that too, it seems like a lot of people are having issues with it. Like I just saw Noodle make a post this morning basically saying how like he tried, he spent, X amount of time trying to get Xenothreat to even work, and just couldn't and just ended up just alt F4ing. So
yep,
it seems like quite a few people
I
are
don't blame him.
having an
So
issue with Xenothreat this time around.
I managed to end up in a Xenothread that went all the way to the end, and there was quite a lot of people on the server. And you know what happened? We gave up. It took
Really?
us an hour to kill the Idris, because the first Idris you fight without javelin, because there's so many fucking ads spawning. It's insane. And you have to clear them as well. And the Idris shield just keep respawning. And it took us an hour to kill an Idris. And I thought personally that it's bugged. The javelin did not spawn, but never mind. We're gonna kill
Hmm.
this Idris, and this is a tanky Idris. It's not like the
Yeah.
one that you get in Arlington or whatever.
Yeah.
So we kill Idris. Javelin jumps in. Two more Idrises spawn, and this is after an hour of this fight with one Idris. I
Yeah.
don't have any wings anymore. I've been like flying in and out all the time to like get my shields to recharge and whatnot. And yeah, we just all gave up. The whole server was like, "What? Two?
Even
Fuck
with the
this,
javelin there, hey,
bro."
like that's
What
why
javelin does
that's why
nothing,
that.
bro. Like it
Oh
does
no, it doesn't
nothing.
even
I
fire.
mean, it does, but bro, these things are so fucking tanky that it takes forever to kill them.
Interesting, because I
I don't
remember
know.
in like the first Xenothreat, like there was like just watching those like quad cannons on the javelin basically line up on an Idris and just melt it. Like,
Well, that did not happen.
hmm,
Anyways, it was very disheartening. Like you waste so much time. Then that's another thing. Like if I could have jumped just to like Jericho repaired, and came back, sure. But I've been flying without wings for like 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's annoying. And then the other thing is they need to do something about like audio cues as well, because man, I dreamed about like the audio of enemy spawning. It's fucking annoying. And like they get out of your range and back because they're also now like flying in and out. And
Oh, so
so every
okay, and then
time
they,
they
like
disappear and
oh,
spawn again on your
no.
screen, she tells you. Like,
No. So it's just
seriously,
constant because 'cause they're, like, flying in and out of range.
bro,
Oh,
abysmal experience. And
oh,
I did
that
it like
sucks.
4 or 5 times because I wanted to do it at least once so that I have a full picture. And after that, I just gave up. I had one where I was there for like an hour and a half, like helping and whatnot, and then my client crashed, and I logged back in on my ship, and I'm like, cool, different server.
No, shit.
N- Xenothread not active.
Oh, no. Oh,
Like now that I talk about this, I feel like, dude, if I had any hair, I would have pulled it. Like, I promise. It's like such
yeah,
a disturbing experience. Such a disturbing experience. And it's not like I went
uh,
once and like got like, no.
yeah,
I
just you
did
just
this
got
before.
unlucky. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and then
did it
I thoroughly like tested this in a way.
you
Because
did it the scientific way where, like, like, you went for,
you know
like,
what, I was
an
excited about
appropriate
it.
sample size.
Because I didn't care about Jumptown. That's like super group organized thing. I never managed to really enjoy the Ninetales event. There's
Well,
nothing that I really enjoy, right?
there
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
much to enjoy there, to be
I
honest.
know.
That was pretty boring. They've even acknowledged that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't end up really working the way they wanted it to.
But Xeno for me was fun, and now it's not. I'm never fucking. You know what? If Esu was not like playing the game, I would have uninstalled. And I
Yeah,
don't know
I
if I'm
feel
gonna
that.
play until something comes, such as I want to try salvage. Refueling is
Yeah.
not bringing me back to the game. I'm glad they're we're gonna get it, but
Wow, well,
like it's
like,
not
we'll
my
talk
game.
about that when we get to
Yeah, of course,
ISC,
of
but,
course.
like, yeah, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
I just don't think, like, I think refueling is just gonna be one of those things that comes in and nobody does except for fun. It's gonna be like one of the typical kind of tier 0 implementations where, like, it works, but nobody uses it
Mhm.
because there's no
Yeah, there's
point.
no need for that now. Unless
Um,
they tweak like fuel prices and I don't know. We'll talk about it.
well,
So
yeah,
just to add like few little bits, the lag becomes insane, just like non-playable lag. Like I don't know if it's my rig, but I mean I'm playing and I wasn't streaming. Okay, I wasn't streaming. It was full screen Star Citizen. I don't have like the beast rig, but I have 1080 Ti. I have 32 gigs of RAM memory, 8700K. This is something that is on the high end of what
yeah,
they're requesting. Dude, my rig was like smoking. It
yeah,
and the problem is if you're like flying a junky like a little bit junkier ship like Vanguard, dude, it starts like you can't trace the targets. You can't it's just
hmm,
ugh. Plus the clutter on UI.
right, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
god, dude! Like, like I don't know. Nothing was good there, dude. The only good thing was I came there with the Sentinel on my first try. I logged out in the bed, and I was logging in and out like in across several days, and I didn't have a single issue logging back into the ship, which was great, really.
hmm,
But that doesn't have much to do with the Xenothreat in general.
right. So
Uh,
performance was poor, but stability was okay, I
Stability was
guess.
fine. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
one crash to desktop, but not like I did have 30K couple of days before that, but I was mining, so it was not like Xenothreat. But it was not out yet. But like I played a lot and won 30K in like, and it recovered everything. It was fine. So that like server stability is perfectly fine. Performance not really good.
mm,
Yeah, I'm going over the notes, and I think I've touched on everything. I just think like one big thing would be being able to use that Jericho station as your support base, because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is. It just makes no sense that it's not.
Yeah, it's a military station, like, at
Yeah,
the very least, you should be able to rearm there.
there were some beautiful moments where like, for example, first try our javelin despawned and everyone landed on these like pads on both sides waiting for maybe it's gonna happen in 15 minutes or so. It's like still Star Citizen, so it may be bugged or whatever. And everyone like sitting there like with their ships chilling, talking in chat, waiting for it to happen. And someone just says, man, I zoomed out and Jericho looks lit with all our ships there, and it is. It like these
Yeah,
moments, these
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
moments are still super awesome to live.
Yeah, totally. Well,
But yeah,
that's what I liked about, again, like I said, I don't think I really got any playtime in Xenothreat 2, but like the first Xenothreat, that's one of the things I commented about in our one of our episodes back then, was just how I finally kind of felt like, oh, this is what Star Citizen would feel like if it were an MMO, you know?
true.
You know, it kind of gave me that feeling. So, you know, I'm not super surprised that you still get a little bit of that even when shit's kind of going bad, because I mean, it's so rare to have so many people in the same area in Star Citizen the way it is right now with the servers and the size they are and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing that's what we all want from SE.
Yeah.
So of course,
Yeah.
most of these
We
people
want that
playing
MMO
there,
experience.
yeah, even if you're pissed off, you want you want it to be a good experience. It's not like
Yeah.
you bad shit on purpose or anything. No, it's not that.
Yeah. I guess we can move
Okay.
on to news though now.
Yep,
Hey, I don't, like I
definitely.
said, I didn't really play, so I don't really have a lot to add to that,
I
but it's interesting. I made and for the record, for anybody who's listening to this, I this was news to me too, because we specifically held off kind of like his experiences in Xenothreat here until, you know, until this conversation, just so that I could kind of hear it and somewhat react to it in real time. So, I mean, I suppose I cheated a little bit because I read his notes, but
Yeah, man, I really wish I came here and was like, you remember the first time we had Xenotrade? It'd be like fucking finally a really good thing, you know? And
yeah,
I was
yeah,
hoping for the same. I think that's the reason I went so many times. Because if I had
yeah, yeah.
one
Just
good run,
hoping that,
I'd be
yeah,
okay with it. It's like, it's an alpha. In the end, and that's where you get reminded, like, this is fucking alpha big time. But
yeah,
then you can still like cheat, alpha with some really good exp and be like, yeah, this is what we're here for. But
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah, totally. Yeah, you can still have good experiences in an
For
alpha
sure.
game.
Yeah.
It's just harder, and they're oftentimes fewer and further between. So, yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, the news. We're gonna dash quickly over the ISCs and SCLs and a
yeah,
couple other things, and then we're gonna jump into the big news of the of
yeah,
this
yeah.
patch. So
But I get, first and foremost, I think this is our first one back since ISC started up again. So ISC is
yes,
back,
yeah. Ooh,
and
something
the
to talk
first,
about.
yeah, the first one was pretty good. I mean, I thought, anyways. It was kind of largely concept art, but the concept art was stunning.
And I want to
Uh,
print some of those.
yeah,
I told you, let that I like terrapin in general, and like that
yeah,
little
yeah,
terrapin in the
yes, in the
forest with like
jungle, yeah.
moss on it, and
So
oh
I mean, again, this is a couple weeks old, so people who are listening to this have probably already seen it. But like,
yeah.
the first one was about the derelict sites, and there was a bunch of concept art talk, like showing where they want to go with derelicts in the future, having them kind of be some like a something that decays over time, something with like a little bit more of a slider scale. So like, you know, a wreck that's been there for, well, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be there in 20 for actually 20 years, but you know, like they showed examples of what a ship would look like if it had been in that particular environment for that long. And man, yeah, the ones in the forest where like the greeneries like growing over them and stuff like that. Oh, just awesome.
Mm,
Yeah, like even if that didn't add any gameplay, like even if there was no real reason to go in there necessarily, if you were just like wandering through a forest and you saw something like that there, it would just be one of those like cool
yep.
moments, you know? Like,
And
but
then
I mean,
imagine
at
if
this,
you could like actually take something out of it or fix it
or if
potentially,
you had
or
to like
that's
shelter in them because there's like a storm or something,
true.
right? And you're trying to like survive, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, cool. It was cool for sure. And then I
Wait,
guess,
just a moment. So I jumped further down the road because we were talking about derelicts. I did a lot of these as well.
oh right, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's something I
The
I liked
caterpillars
even
are in game
before.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna like. There's a lot wrong with them. Okay, so they're glitching. The first day I streamed, I was like, okay, I'm gonna whatever. But and I ended up like glitched into the wall of Caterpillar, like, and I could get out and whatever. But I want to say one thing: the new ones, first of all, they're different, which is so refreshing. But also, dude, we listen to them like speak about like talk about fire all the time. You remember in the last year or
Mm.
so,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was always like, whatever, man. Like, okay, fire, bro. Uh, they are on fire, and it looks so much better. And
Mm.
fire looks so fucking cool. Now,
Cool.
it's not spreading or anything,
Yeah, yeah.
but I guess that's good because we don't have like firefighting gameplay, anyways. But and I didn't. I should have, but you know how it is now with Death of a Spaceman. Like I should have like either ran through it to see if it actually burns or what. I don't know. I didn't try. I should have. But it makes it so much more immersive and so much more alive. So
Yeah.
I want to say like that's awesome. And the other thing is like there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's some hidden boxes around that you can like loot, and there's better loot in them. So for example, you will be,
Yeah,
if there's
yeah.
like a jump puzzle, you will find a tractor beam in one of them. And then I did a puzzle and I found like the med pens of all colors in them, like 5 of
Yeah,
each, which is
yeah.
really
I've
good.
heard there's like, there's clothing and armor that
There
you can
is, yeah.
only find in the rec sites, that they're not available in stores, which I think is cool. It's
The
about time for
problem,
stuff like that, but
the big issue I had was I found this like big box. There's nothing in it. You can't open it, but it looks like a box that at some point it looks like one of those that has like a dial pad on it
okay.
that they're about to add, right?
Right.
So you can like lock and lock, and you can either lift them or take them with the gun, right? With the multi
Oh,
tool.
okay, but you can't open them, right? So, like, they're just an object that
You
you
know what the
can.
problem is? Oh yeah,
Mm,
so these I managed to actually. I wanted to make. There were 3 of these, and I wanted to like make steps to jump somewhere else later. And I actually ended up bringing them to my ship, so that like if I find another one, I have these there, so I can like stand on them, and then it's kind
that's
of cool.
fun.
You bring something from
Yeah,
it. It's like a fucking box. There was another one. I had light armor and light backpack. It's kind of cool. Like you can talk about these adventures in game. Like this is what the derelict sites created a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
So I went in there. I had backpack. I was like, okay, I will need something to put things in. But the light backpack, and I found like like hand armor, and you can't even. It was heavy hand armor, and I couldn't put that in the backpack. Like it's too heavy, which
Okay.
kind of strange, but whatever. Um,
That is pretty weird.
yeah, but well, I mean, literally, when I hover over, it would say, like not enough space, whatever.
Hmm,
So I figured, oh shit, I can lift this box. But the problem is, this was like in the middle of, like I'm in the hole in the caterpillar. So in order to get out, I need to like jump and grab on something. So I was
right.
like, wait, I'm gonna toss it out, and then because I had to like toss it out like above me outside, and then I got out. The fucking box despawned, man.
Yeah.
That was man. I was like,
I've heard that
I'm bringing this
I've
on the
heard
ship.
the object culling I've heard is, like, just overly aggressive.
Ah,
Yeah.
that sucks, dude. But
It
yeah,
does.
sorry. That
Well,
was
no,
it.
it's actually kinda interesting, though. That was something on the I think that they mentioned on the roadmap roundup that they've added stuff to the progress tracker specifically dealing with, like, persistence around, like, stuff like that. Because right now, they've all like, if you like, let's say you have your constellation and you undock in your snub fighter and fly down to the planet, chances are by the time you get back up into orbit, they will have despawned your constellation. So and they have kind of mentioned that with their persistent tech that they're working on, it's one of their goals this year is trying to make everything a little bit more persistent. Well, we'll see if they actually get there, but, like that
I'm
there's nothing that's more demoral and there's nothing that takes you out of the experience more than having something that that you wanted, having that despawn on you, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a ship, whether it's a box. It's yeah, it sucks, but
true. And there's another thing that someone mentioned and explained to me. and I tested it and it was true that you can have up to two vehicles in your ship. So like let's say you have Carrack, so if you have Pisces, you can only have like Ursa with it. But if you have like two Ursas, you can't. If you land Pisces in, one Ursa will despawn. They kind of limited vehicles
Yeah.
on board to like to two. Now I don't know if Constellation, if Merlin is one of the vehicles because it's not spawned in. I don't know, but yeah, definitely some struggles there. I'm assuming that has to do with server. What else? You know.
Yep. I guess the only other thing I wanted to say about that one was that they talked about with when they were like going over some of the concept art and showing like how they change over time. They did say specifically that they want these derelict sites to be something that does change over time. So you're talking about like the fire, for example. Like obviously, if you come down and a ship is on fire, you're kind of like like that does something to kind of indicate that this is like a fairly recent crash,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really cool, to come back to it like a day later and like, the
It's
fires are out.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. Like that would add like a lot of color. And I'm just like, I know this is full on imagine here, but like, I think it would be really cool if actual like ship crashes ended up kind of generating derelicts. I know that's like pretty unrealistic, but that would be freaking sweet.
Yeah,
If like,
that would be
like if
nice,
if
but
if you shot like a caterpillar down or something like that and then went down and it was like an actual wreck on the ground. But yeah. I'm not holding my breath for that one,
I
but
mean,
it'd be sweet though.
well, yeah. What you mean, like, oh no, like, I think we might be able to like find them down there anyway they landed or crash, but we'll never have realistic
Yeah.
crashing physics. That would be another fucking level even for CIG. Like, come on.
They've said that they're working on it, but you're
Oh,
right. Like
please don't work on it.
I don't really see how it would translate into like one of these rec sites. My guess is like these rec sites will probably just be generated by the quantum system or whatever that basically says there is X amount of NPCs in this territory. This one got shut down by pirates and it just generates a rec site on the ground kind of a thing.
I mean, you
Um
could cheat. Like, let's say my ship falls down, I died, and I spawned in the hospital, and then my, let's say, Carrack is um respawned there as a derelict with all the things that I had, but like
I
not the way
guess,
it
yeah,
like fell, but like it's one
right.
of the
Because
derelict models,
it
right?
unloads the wreckage of your ship, and then when somebody goes back there, it just reloads it as like a Carrack
Yeah,
derelict.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
That
would
would
make
be okay.
sense,
I'd
yeah.
be okay with that. We
Yeah.
gotta cheat somewhere. Like you have to. Like it's not
You
gonna
have
be
to, yeah. Yeah,
a
100%.
Second Life, right? I mean, literally, not the game.
Yeah.
I'll let you go through these because I had my long monologue.
Oh, I don't know, other than that, like, the Red Festival was going on, that was the other thing that they touched on, and then they did, a bit of a sprint report, I think, where they talked about, they showed some, like, Vulture progress, looking pretty cool. I like the Vulture. They showed a bunch of the interior. They showed some progress on the Corsair, which it's a cool ship, man. I wanna like that ship, but, like, I don't think I'll ever own one, and I'm not really big on the, like, giant wing on it, but it's pretty cool, like, and as they do more updates, it just kinda reaffirms it. I think, like, that's gonna be a really, really cool ship. They showed some updates on the BMM, still pretty rough, but, you know, whatever. I'm
Mm.
glad I like seeing those little, like, progression kind of, like, updates on stuff like that. For some reason, I'm okay with it with ships, but, like, when it comes to, like, hospitals or settlements, I get
Yeah,
frustrated. But yeah, um, I don't think the Scorpius was on that episode. Yeah,
it
anyways,
was. It was.
sprint report a couple weeks ago, go watch it. Um, and then, the ISC this week was, they, unveiled the quad, which, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen a whole bunch already. Cool thing. Um, I think we talk about it last time how we were glad it didn't come with weapons?
Yeah, I said that
Or
it
was
doesn't
that
have
different?
weapons and
Yeah,
it
and it's
has
got the little
cargo.
inventory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but also
yeah.
now they broke like they explained it more where it's actually like better at maneuvering because of that,
Oh, yeah,
which is
yeah,
kind
more
of cool.
stable.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's more stable over rough ground. I like that.
and it fits
Um,
into. They
the
explained that
Nomad.
this was like this
Yeah.
was like a long term thing,
I
and I
think we
kind
were
of like it
speculating
because
about that. We were
yeah, I want
speculating
that on
about
my
that last
Nomad.
episode. Yeah.
Mm,
But it turns
before
out,
we knew.
yeah, like when they were designing the Nomad, they were working on this at the same time and actually or like it came up in the concept art, and that was one of the things that they made sure of is that this quad fit in the back of the Nomad, which I think is cool. Have they
Makes
fixed
sense.
that back lift on the Nomad, do you know? Like, can you
Fixed.
put
Oh,
vehicles in there now without them basically twitching up and exploding?
just like any other ramp, man. Like you can, but it's like 50%
It's
chance
you're
that it's
rolling
gonna
the
be
dice.
chaotic. Yeah, which just
Okay,
makes it
well,
unusable for me for now. But I like the concept. I have Nomad. I kind of somehow fell in love with that ship. I don't know why. It's one of my LTIs, and I am going to have that quad on it
yeah,
for no
obviously
reason.
buying. Yeah, yeah, I guess. Besides cool factor, it is
Yeah,
pretty cool. And the highlight of this one, actually, I think it was the title of the
I see.
ISC there. It was it's about refueling, and we got our first look at kind of like the UI, um, some of the refueling mini game and stuff like that. And overall, like I was pretty positive with the stuff I saw. We talked about this a little bit off air because one of Chegg's concerns after we heard like them do their like this is what refueling gameplay is going to be like last year, it sounded like there was a lot of room for error and it could potentially be catastrophic for the person being refueled. And
They said it. They're like, if you do
it,
this wrong, you're gonna explode or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And thankfully it seems like they backed off of that because I mean like you pointed out there, Chegg, like if if you're pulling up to refuel and you have no idea if this guy knows what he's doing in his Starfarer and the potential for death is there, people just aren't gonna do it. Like they're not
Um,
gonna, utilize refuelers. But turns out they kind of backed off on that a little bit and they basically just said like if you overdo it as the refueler, like you just waste fuel. It just
yeah,
blows out of the intake. But
I think
what
that's
was kind
great.
of neat, I did still kind of like how like there's some little bit of like interaction, like you don't just push go and have it refuel. Like it seemed really neat how like you could kind of like control the flow rate and whatever like that, so you can kind of like accelerate or decelerate it. I liked, at least in concept, I liked how you could like you had control over the different tanks, like the different fueling tanks. You could like move, substances from one to the other, you know. I think it's all neat. Like it looks really neat. I'd like to see how it actually plays out.
You want
But
my opinion?
but let me finish
Okay.
here. Uh, I don't think anybody's gonna use this except for
I mean,
at
now?
least not right now. Not right
Yeah.
now. Like I think it'll come out, and I think people will do it. But it's
Well,
just like
they're going
they
to design
even
around it, man. Like eventually, like now, it would be
sure, yes.
ridiculous.
Right now, I think it'll be one of those things where it's basically going to be your typical tier zero, where they put it out,
Yeah,
and
people are going to
you know,
fiddle with it to experience new
and then
loop
they're just
and
never
yeah.
going to again. Yeah, yeah. Because like right now in the system we're in, I haven't run out of fuel
Mhm.
in years.
You
I haven't
can
even
now.
come close to running out of fuel in
No, no, you
years.
can. You can. Especially mining on the planet like surfaces. Now you run out of fuel. They
In a
changed something.
prospector?
Yep.
Really? In 316 they did?
Well, I don't know if it's 316 or 315,
Mm,
but yeah.
huh.
Especially if
Okay.
you're trying to find those like 100% nodes and whatnot, you can run out of fuel.
Yeah.
Would
But
you
basically
would you make it
basically I
so that you run out and then you have to wait for a fucking RNG if someone with the Starfare full of fuel is on a server and is willing to come there?
Yeah.
That's another thing.
And see, here's the thing, like I don't and I'm obviously what the fuck do I know? I'm just a gamer, but I don't really see that being the Starfarer gameplay. I don't like and that's not the way refuelers work today either
I have
with
so
like
much to
modern
say
fighter
about this.
craft. They fly and they're basically out there waiting for other ships to come to them. And that's I think what in order for a Starfarer to actually get like a lot of use, that'll have to be something that is possible. You'll have to be able to basically put down a beacon, I'm a Starfarer, I'm here and available for refueling. Obviously, you'd be able to respond to like a I'm out of fuel, please come refuel me, but
And charge for
I
that
just
more.
don't see that, you know what I mean? Like I just don't see that being as common as just positioning yourself advantageously in a position where
Yep.
you're, like a more convenient place to refuel than for somebody going to an outpost or a station. You know what I mean? Like everywhere is so close now that if I'm in Hurston,
It's
like around
useless
a
now.
moon or whatever, yeah, like I'm not going to be searching for a random starfare. I'm just going to jump to the nearest station or even to an outpost, you know? So, like, it's possible that they'd end up, like, removing refueling capabilities from certain outposts. Okay, fine, sure. Then there's maybe more of a case, but even still, I would just jump back to Everest, and refuel quickly there instead of hunting
What if
for a
you had to
starfarer
go to
or
Lorville?
calling for a starfarer, for example. Like, if it turned out that there was a beacon and I could just look, oh, there's a starfarer in orbit around this moon, I'll just rip up there real quick. Sure, fine.
What
But
if you
yeah,
had to go
I
to Lorville or Area 18 to refuel?
well, that why?
Because they want people to use Starfarers.
Yeah, but
This is what I'm saying. Like they can.
that would be a very poor gameplay choice, and I really hope they don't do that.
Well, here's the thing.
That's
Here's my
motivating people
take.
with a stick instead of a carrot, Like,
First of all, I think they are overcomplicating refueling. Even though I like what I saw, right? It looks fancy, it looks cool, the UI and all the little like things.
mhm,
It's a gas station, okay? I go to the gas station and I take fucking thing and I fuel my car. Now, sure, we're talking spaceships or planes or whatever, but still, we're talking about time where Aurora is like everyone's bicycle, basically. So this crazy, like overcomplicated UI and like
mm,
speed at which I know you're gonna disagree, but I don't care. I don't like it. I think that's ridiculous. For me personally, I literally like I feel like they're making a game loop out of
something that
something that
doesn't
should be
deserve a
very
game loop.
simple. Yeah.
Okay, fair. But the most of that UI that you're seeing, I don't think is really involved in the actual refueling. Um,
What do you
like
mean?
shuttling different stuff around to different tanks and stuff. You're not doing that when like when you're refueling somebody. The thing you're controlling when you're refueling somebody is just that flow rate. Just like, okay, they're docked, select this tank,
Why do we need that,
push
man?
go.
How
Um,
does that make sense?
because the other half of refueling gameplay is scooping that fuel, in which case you would probably want to have somebody back there choosing like, okay, so I've scooped this
Wait,
gas,
wait,
this
wait,
needs
wait.
to go in this tank, this needs to go in this tank,
No, no, that I understand. That's fine. And scooping to me is a gameplay, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But
yeah. But that's the other half
why do
of
you
refueling,
need
you know
a
what I mean?
fucking speed? Like, why is this not something that is very
Yeah.
standardized and someone just
Yeah,
docks in, gets fuel,
that's fair.
and
It's
leaves?
yes, that is definitely contrived. I'll give you that. They did it
Okay, okay.
specifically so that the person on the boom end is not
Is
just
doing
pushing
something,
go.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
complicate things for the sake of
Excuse
complicating.
me.
Uh, now here's my take on current situation and potentially what they might or might not do, but can. And that's fuel scarcity because yes, in Stanton right now
Yes. Yeah,
you don't need it, but
exactly.
they need to test these things so they can
Yeah.
turn Stanton into Pyro-ish place when it comes to fuel if they communicate this properly and say, okay, guys, we need to test this and we need to see how it works. I am against this. Just saying, I am against this, but I would be okay to live with this, especially if they were like NPC ships who
That
can also refuel. Because with
That's it
50
right
people on the
there.
server and random fucking Starfare, how do I know there's gonna be someone? And
Yep,
hell, I don't want to
exactly.
go to like Lorville only or only major
Well,
cities to refuel.
we're already seeing this with medical gameplay, you know? Like, when medical gameplay first came out, you could put out a beacon for somebody to come revive you, and yeah, you'd get, like, like, because everybody wanted to try that out, but it's already at a point where most
No one
people are
does
just
it.
backspacing
Yeah. Everyone is
because
backspacing because I explained this. The whole loop is janky, and like you
yeah,
have to bring them wounded to your ship and then wounded to the hospital, and then to get like paid they have to get healed there,
yeah.
and then
But
so
but
stupid.
all that aside, even with the jank aside, the reality is that there's only 50 people on a server, and
Sure.
Stanton is fucking huge for 50 people. So even if the gameplay loop was working properly, and somebody could just come pick you up and then have mission complete, you'd still, like you're
Yeah,
still
people will do that,
relying.
right? But then you don't know if you have that
Not as
person on your
much
server or not.
anymore. And that's the same thing that would happen with refueling. If they made fuel very scarce in Stanton and forced people to rely on Starfarers, player Starfarers,
It's fucked
it's
up
it's
situation. N-
yes, it's not gonna result in a good gameplay scenario. It's if they had NPCs out there, okay, that's maybe different.
but we
Like if
don't
they
have that,
had.
so.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they had NPC Starfarers put at fixed points out
Mm.
there, for example, like similar to the L stations, the Lagrange stations and stuff like that. Like that would be somewhat acceptable to me because then you're just basically going to a Starfarer to refuel instead of going to a station. But if they're relying on players to do it and they're making fuel scarce on like that would just be a terrible decision. I really hope they don't do that.
There's another thing, uh and that is, why would I buy fuel from you when it's so cheap and
Yes.
easily
Yeah.
accessible everywhere?
Yeah.
And Mike talked about this, and I had some thoughts about it. There's a way of making this better, because right now their idea is, okay, you're a Starfarer, you go to a fuel station, you fuel up your whatever fuel containers, and then you sell it. So basically, I have to pay the price of fuel and then go and sell it to you for a profit. So I have to
Yeah.
sell it to you for
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah.
So there's two ways I can see this being like made better. Early stage, right? Like obviously later down the road they're gonna make a proper loop, hopefully. One is reputation, where if you are like refueling people, or I don't know, somehow you get like much cheaper fuel
Mm.
while raising the price of fuel, for because right now you can't even go cheaper. Like you
Yeah.
refuel for like 14 alpha UEC, you refuel Hawk or whatever. Um so so change the price of fuel and then make it cheaper for the those who are actually running it with, or just like, not even
Well, they
reputation,
have
like
to
if you're,
change you have to change the price of fuel or you have to increase the rate of fuel burn so that people are having to come back to refuel more frequently.
or what I would like even more, let them scoop the fuel and sell it out of thin air,
Yes,
because
yeah.
then we can negotiate prices. Then that person can undercut the station,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They can stand next to the station and be like, "Hey guys, you can get it here for like almost no money because whatever, I get it out of
yeah,
nothing." Right?
yeah.
I don't think they're
Uh,
gonna do that, but that, because we have that technically already. Like,
we'll have to see too with how things work after the cargo refactor if that ever ends up happening because they have specifically said that the cargo refactor, the reason that they delayed it is because they want it to include resources like like mined resources and other commodities and stuff like that. And guess what you can buy as a commodity? Hydrogen. Like that is something you can buy right now as cargo, right? Um so that's another thing too, right? Like if you can go somewhere that is producing hydrogen and buy it for way cheaper than you would buy it from a station, for example, like that's another way that a Starfarer could make money on refueling is if they're
there's even
buying it
better.
wholesale from a source.
There's even better. You go to Lorville, fill up your Starfarer, go to a genie or any like PO or whatever, sell fuel to the station. Station can
Right. Yeah, yeah,
fuel
yeah, yeah.
only if it's a
If it's
like a
actually
commodity,
fueled.
right?
Yep.
And then we
Yeah.
know we have the economy across the entire like all of the
Right, and then the
servers
price of fuel is depending on how scarce it is
fluctuates
at that station.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then TDDs and all these like have like fixed prices. If I don't want to go down to Lorville to refuel, everyone makes money. I pay a little bit extra in the on the
Yeah.
station, and you
But you
you
gain the
made money.
convenience of
Yeah,
not having to go down to atmosphere.
and you
Which
know
in a
what?
lot of cases in the case of a large ship too, like if we're talking a C2, like even going down for the bonus in the fuel or like for the discounted fuel down there, you'd lose that, getting out of atmosphere. Like with all the additional fuel burn of getting out of that gravity well too, right? Like
I would play this game loop, by the way. Now, I would
yeah.
actually fucking play it. It's so
Yeah,
simple. Like we basically have it already in the game. I know I'm not a dev or anything, but we basically have it already. Or you could like fill the tanks of those planetary stations and moon stations, right? Moon pads, and be like, okay, moon pad, like whatever. Um, what's the ones on Ariel where you buy uh Laranite? Shit, I forgot about the
what do
names.
you mean?
Jesus Christ,
Bezdek and
Bezdek and Lathan,
Lathan?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go and refuel these, and you're like, okay,
Oh, yeah,
boys,
yeah, 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 right,
you can
yeah.
refuel your characters there again.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah,
be
well,
so
that's the
fucking
thing,
cool,
right?
right?
Like that quantum system is supposed to do all of that, basically create demand at these places where a starfarer, you know,
Also,
would be
yes, but we're not getting that. You
no.
know,
Well,
so we could do it
I
like
don't know.
what we have already, right? We can be quantum system technically, because we know where ships are landing,
Right.
right?
I mean, I suppose ultimately if they're just like if they just have a set like a set price.
I mean, I agree with you, 100%, of
We do
course.
know that they actually even with those commodity alerts, like they already have like overbought and oversold,
Yeah.
like is
Although
something
that
that's
entire
functioning in
UI,
game.
man.
Oh yeah, it's horrible, but like the point is in game. It would just require some, some actual additional kind of work on it to turn it more into like it's working and into a something like a functioning game loop
Mm.
for yeah, like cargo haulers, miners, etc., etc.
Cool.
Fuel scoopers.
Yep. We do know that they're turning that ship into a refinery as well. I would think
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
Odyssey, it's gonna refine uh,
Quantanium only. Oh,
maybe
wait though.
both, right? For both fuels. That's it.
Yeah.
Wonder if you're gonna be able to
Actually, I
like
don't think
buy
they
raw
haven't
quantanium.
specified. They haven't specified yet.
No, this is me
Um,
speculating. That's what I said. Like I'm
yeah, yeah, yeah.
assuming that's gonna happen. So both fuels, maybe you can make fuel. That's it.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
would
mean,
make sense.
they might end up, but basically, like they might still end up having the Starfarer be like just the mobile refinery for now, for even like mined materials. We don't really know, but you're right in that it's probably going to be Quantanium only, similar to the
I mean,
Odyssey.
in the end, that really is a review ship. Like you can make
Yeah,
it
yeah,
be a refinery with everything, but if it can have like proper, fuel refining and trading and scooping, that you know, refueling someone's ship is not a game loop for me. That's bullshit. That should just be like a way to
yeah,
make
yeah.
money. But
Well, that's what I
everything
was
else
saying.
around it, that's fucking awesome, man. I would
Yeah.
I would play a fucking fuel rat. Why not?
Well,
It's an
well,
awesome gameplay loop.
that's kind of what I've been trying to say this whole time, right? Like the actual refueling aspect is like a small portion of what I think that game loop will be. And I think it will end up, like you said, just being something that's kind of more secondary. Or like you said, where it's like, like you have a movie going on a second screen and you basically just park yourself somewhere to like make some passive income as like,
Yeah.
you know,
Because
just
you
a
still feel
fuel
like you're
stop.
part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that was a good one. I enjoyed that conversation.
Right. SCLs I didn't watch the first one, so you're gonna have to talk about that one
Hmm.
because it was mostly concept art and stuff like that.
Well,
And actually, for that matter, I didn't really watch the latest one either because I don't
I'm
I
the
for
one
some
who
it's
watches these things,
I
even though
know it's
sometimes they're
weird.
very boring.
The latest one was very like game devy, even like talking about the nuts and bolts of what's going on behind. But for some reason, I just couldn't get through it. Yeah,
You can watch Mike, like he watched and reacted to it if it's more fun for you. I don't know.
well, maybe.
But he did like the whole thing, so it's an hour and 20 minutes or so.
Yeah,
But so the first one, what like 2 weeks ago, was actually just the extension of IC, where the same concept artist who was, uh, whose art was shown in IC was making one on the go, and it's beautiful. Like this is one of those. If you don't feel like sitting through the entire thing, I would say like skip through it a few times to just see the progress and like what he starts with, which is literally nothing, and what he ends up with, which is a derelict of um, caterpillar. And it's so funny. Jeremiah Lee joins the call at the end, and because Jerry was giving him shit the entire time, and he's like, "Wait, but what did you start with?" And then this guy shows what he started, and he's like, "Wait, this is what you started with? Holy shit, that's crazy!" And then they like have a little bit of a like respectable chit chat because they like are
they're both
obviously
concept
not
artists.
working to yeah, but
Yeah.
they're not working together. Obviously, like they
Oh
are
yeah, different
yeah,
teams.
completely different things. So it's kind of cool to hear that. Nothing like it's just two guys like talking about like things that they understand, and you get some clarity about like how things are being done. They were brought like, oh yeah, every artist has like this kind of assets on the side and he's like stealing from. He's like, yeah, if you had water like this, and then the guy's like, yeah, I have it, and he like takes this like image of fucking water and like puts it in, and makes it work. And he's like, hey, these birds that you can see everywhere? He's like, yeah, those two birds, and then he finds like fucking whatever, like it's just silly. You can see the two of them know what they're talking about, and they do it in such a way that it's kind of fun to listen to, but it's like last 10 minutes or so. But just beautiful. Like people who work for CIG are extremely talented and dedicated, and yeah, even though these can be a little bit tedious to watch, um there's some value in
Well,
them. I don't mind.
I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know if I'd call it tedious to watch. It's just
They
like,
can
like
be.
you're either into it or you're not, right? And I'm not really that into the
Well,
concept
I
art
guess,
ones for
yeah.
the most part because I typically listen to SCL. I don't usually watch it. So,
I actually disagree because I watch all of them, right? And most of these guys are not, we talked about this, they're not entertainers, they're not broadcasters,
yeah.
they're not people who sit in front of the camera, and in this situation they have to entertain with Jared's help. And Jared feels very tired, which we talked about already, about like doing this. I guess it just feels like that. I feel like he needs a refresher. And some people, like if you have Jeremiah Lee, Jay Lee is just a fun guy who can entertain you anyways, right? While he's doing it. While
Yeah.
some other people, like the guy who was designing the level, I don't know if you remember, like it was so boring to listen to all of that. However, everything made sense and what he designed was great. And so the people who are in it, what you're saying, like who are in it just for this design, they get value out of it, right? But for me, this is like an hour of entertainment that is connected to something that I care for in a project that I follow, right? So they can be very, I don't know what else to say. Like they can be kind of boring.
Mm,
this one was okay though. It was cool. It was cool.
mm.
The
Uh
other one, oh yeah, you didn't watch the other
yeah.
one either. So we had the other one a
Well, I
few days
watched like
ago.
half the other one.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Noob Fire summary video.
Well, I guess if you don't feel like watching it, viewer, listener, definitely check Nobifire's video.
Yeah.
Because he shared a lot of information and it was so good. The SCL itself was, sorry, the ISC itself. No, SCL. Why do we have this?
SEO. Well,
Um,
we're kind of
it was
mixed
all
up here,
about,
but
yeah, it was all about graphics.
yeah.
And but he was answering questions from the chat mainly,
Yeah.
what's the
About the
name?
Gen 12 render and stuff like that,
Spectrum.
which is what I was
Yeah,
saying, like, it's weird because usually this is the stuff I'm totally into.
yeah.
You know?
it's cool because he actually, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently he told Jared that he wants to come to the show to like clarify certain things that he figured out are like flowing through content creators and whatnot, like misinformation and maybe not like on purpose, but like misunderstood
Right.
things and whatnot. And
Yeah. I guess
he,
because that's something you hear a lot, like, "Oh,
of
you gotta
course,
wait for the Gen 12 render, you gotta wait for Vulkan," and stuff like that, and that was one of the things that I was even I watched I was here for was, him talking about how, like, that's not
direct text, right?
it's it's not just gonna be like a clunk,
Oh
Vulkan
yeah,
is in
overnight,
now,
right?
or
Yeah, yeah.
like clunk, Gen 12 render, it's like something that they're, like, just kind of progressively
Mm.
integrating into the game. But it's
Um,
not gonna be like a light switch and all of a sudden you get 60 FPS, like
I like the way he explains things. He actually answered every fucking question, even the dumb ones. He he did have some reactions where like he obviously didn't want to talk about something, and he was openly like, this one had to come up.
Mhm.
But he would still explain in a way, and I think I don't feel like I've learned much of the new stuff, but like you do get the confirmation about certain things, right? And then for some other things, you're like, oh, okay, so we totally got this wrong. Um, it was funny when he was explaining how mirrors affect servers and whatnot, like why do we
Yeah,
don't have mirrors and why they're placed at the locations where you can't see. I think he used Bangle as an example in the background because he would have to like render everything in the mirror and whatnot. And it's
right.
just a really cool technical talk, but he also explains everything through the actual game. So he's not like, you remember I tried watching some of the things on during the Citizen Con, and those were like super technical where you just don't understand
Yeah.
half of that what they're talking about. He was literally talking through like the game perspective, and I understood most of it, which is really cool. That's it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much STL, hey? I mean, not obviously not, but like,
I mean that's
yeah.
what I want to like share about it. Basically, if you want to watch it, obviously Star Citizen YouTube, it's always there. You can always check it out, or Newbie
I'll have
Fighter.
to give it another go, honestly, because from a systems perspective, I do know that like Vulkan and like Gen 12 renderer and stuff like that are like big pieces of tech that are going to be required for like, for things to kind of move forward. But yeah, just
Honestly,
maybe it's because it was Friday night and I was like,
maybe. Yeah.
just kind of like,
I
I
watched
don't
it
want to do this
twice,
on Friday
man.
night.
I
Yeah.
watched it once, and
I'll
then I
just
watched
watch
the
Salty
whole.
Mike's react
I
video.
was about to say because he's burning some of his viewers there, like big time. He's like, someone. So he has like a headset like yours. I don't know, HyperX or something. Nothing like super crazy, but okay. And he sounds really good. And there's this guy in his chat being like, "Fucking game dev doesn't have money to buy a microphone or whatever using headsets." And Mike stops and he's like, he sounds 10 times better than you, motherfucker. Like, whenever you come to ATC, you sound like shit. And he's like, that is better than fucking Yeti Blue. That he goes into like. So, yeah, he was burning his
I
guys
didn't
a little bit.
Yeah. Honestly, we've heard way, way dodgier audio quality from
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who've been on STL before, you
Actually,
know?
it's a good point. The last couple of times, I don't really have anything to say about audio.
Yeah.
Jared in
But
Matrix,
honestly,
though,
like,
a
that
little
is
bit
kind
over
of
the
like
top.
I know we're tangenting or whatever here, but,
Yeah, well,
come on. You're a dev and you just expect somebody to have, like, a condenser mic and a boom stand? Like, come on. Why would anybody have that?
I,
Like,
yeah. I don't want to say some
unless
people are stupid, but they just don't like, they're so fast to like judge
yeah,
someone.
snap judge. It's
So,
not even a question of, like, of having the money to. It's like, but if
what do you need that for,
it
man?
exactly. Like, it takes up a lot of room to have, like, a boom stand and a condenser mic on your desk, like, you
Okay,
know?
so Delicia, who is my mod, and we often have her in the stream here, even though she doesn't play Star Citizen, but she watches me every now and then. She started streaming recently, and she's streaming with the headset. However, it's a problem for a lot of people to have headset the entire day, and especially if you work with a headset as well, so you kind of
Mm.
want to get
Yeah, yeah,
away
yeah.
from that, right? So she started like looking for a microphone. So she asked me, and some other people posted on Twitter, and people suggested Yeti Blue. Then me and a couple other guys were like, Please don't get Yeti Blue because it's good in certain circumstances. You need really good padding because it picks up from the moon and this and that, depending on like if you're streaming in a room, and then do, do you use a USB version? Do you use XLR? Like, there's so
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah,
drama about this and software and everything. Why do you want to do it if you don't need it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
a dev. It's your headset sounds amazingly clean.
It's fine. Yeah,
Who even
it's
cares
fine.
about this shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep.
Crazy. People are nuts.
Though it's funny, after I kinda went on this rant, it's funny because, I actually pushed my brother to get a condenser mic and a boom stand, even though he just games, but I just got so frustrated with his garbage mics, like,
Just,
he'd
just
he'd he'd be, like, using his phone or something. I was like, "Josh, just pick this one up from Amazon, it's 40 bucks, like,
why
40
didn't you
bucks and
tell
it's
him
got a
to?
stand, just."
He could have
Yeah.
taken just a proper headset. Maybe he doesn't want to use a headset now.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? Like, he didn't wanna, he doesn't like wearing a headset, same kinda thing, like, he
Yeah,
finally like, they make his ears hurt and stuff like that after a certain period of time, and I
that's
was like,
legit
"Fine,
though. Yeah.
here you go. Here's a link, throw it on your desk, and I won't have to listen to your fucking shitty phone microphone and all of your game sounds bleeding through your phone microphone." But anyways, no, wow, we went way off topic there.
uh, well, yeah, because it's time.
Yeah.
It's time for the news of the news of the news.
Okay, so there was a roadmap roundup, a first of the year, and
It was great.
we always expect we always expect there to be a little bit of blood in the water after for the first roadmap roundup of the year, because that's just things always shift drastically, but they have decided that they're going to really change up how they're doing the roadmap from now on.
Wait,
And
wait,
I guess let's just start with the good.
wait,
Like,
wait. First thing that I still don't understand is they postponed roadmap roundup for a week,
yes, yeah.
and after what we got, I'm so confused about like why did they postpone?
My guess would be because they were waiting on certain departments to give them the information they needed to actually update. I don't think it was as much about the roadmap as much as it was about the progress tracker update. They're
So,
probably waiting on teams to give them the data they needed to
so
update that.
they do this like at the same time. They can't give
Yeah.
roadmap round because in the roundup there's not really much info really. I mean, there's there's a lot of
No.
info about what's
Well,
happening, but
there's
like there's not much. Like, we only had like couple of things, like 3 sentences basically about what actually changed, right?
except for the progress tracker. Like, the progress trackers where you see like this was added, 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 and like every time they add one of those, they have to communicate with that team and figure out like how much time are they allocating to it, who's working on it. They have to get a summary of what that thing is, so when you click the drop down, you can see that. Like, I think if anything was the delay there, that's probably what it was getting all that data from the different teams. And why they had to do that, in this particular situation, probably was because they just went on a tear about how they're going to be prioritizing the progress tracker over the release view from now on. So that's basically what happened. If you have been living under a rock, or are not tuned into the drama fire that is Star Citizen right now, they've basically said that they're going to prioritize the progress tracker going forward, and the release view, they're only going to show what's coming next patch. And honestly, I think that is long past time. I think that should have been the case for a long time, because as we've seen over the past however many years, their hit rate on their actual roadmap for the things that actually come out is like 30%,
I
sometimes less than
I
30%
think it's
accurate.
less.
So, like literally the only thing that matters is what's coming next patch and what's coming for sure. So they're not doing the tentative thing anymore. They're just basically the only things that are going to show up on the release view are next patch and the things that are going to for sure be in. Period. Um, they've also
Can I
changed it.
just jump in
Sure.
there a
Yeah.
little bit? I think it's kind of cool that two of us talk about this because we're the exact opposite of how we
Yeah.
use this, right? So
It is true. It is true. Yeah.
I am basically using just the old roadmap. So this is affecting me in a way. Although I kind of stopped using it completely because I don't trust anything in it for a good reason.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
even committed things were dropped out of it. So this
Once, to be fair.
it's
That
enough
only it
for me
literally only
to
happened once.
well
But
yeah, but it happened once in what 3 months.
no.
Yes,
Happened
that's
once since the new roadmap it came out.
since they said commit, since they added committed. When did they add
Yeah.
that as a thing? 3 months
Uh,
before that dropped out.
2020.
What? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October 2020
Okay.
was when they went over to the new roadmap. So it's been a
Anyways,
full year.
the other thing is 70 or more percent of it anyways drops out of it, committed or not, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's not something I can look at and be like, because I get excited about this. And honestly, people are going to judge me for saying this, but like, that's the we have lives, man. Like, we have other things that happen around us, and some of us are playing other games as well, or following other projects or whatever. And for me, I don't want to like dive into and figure out which team is working on what for how long, and then look into the 8 ball and figure out if some other team is going to pick it up or if it's done
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
some
that's
people
fair.
enjoy that, and it's great that we have it. I think that's amazing, but I I'm not using it. And as someone who is not using it, I am directly affected by the change, right? Because now they're gonna only show me the next release date. And you know what? I am 100% okay with this if it if they prove that
Yeah.
they can actually release what's on it. If it's
Yes. Yeah.
one thing, I don't give a shit. But that I need to regain trust in this fucking piece of um, information, let's say. So
Yes. That was very diplomatic of you. I thought you were gonna
I
say
when I
this.
said this piece off, I realized I could have said something else, but that was never my
Yeah.
idea. But yeah. um, but yeah, the problem here is we're gonna probably have like releases where there's nothing, especially as the time goes on. Do you
Yeah.
think they can like have a release or whatever, like roadmap with nothing on it for the next release or whatever? That's gonna be silly.
Yeah. Um, I think in that case they'll do stuff like we saw this time where they just coffee shop.
True. Yeah. Dude, even that
Like
is
they'll just
better
throw
for me
some
than like
bullshit on
telling
it.
me
Yeah.
whatever salvage.
You know what? Like that's you know what would be fine in my opinion too is if they just like if they used the release view like similar to like World of Warcraft where you get like basically a list of like changes and bug fixes and stuff like that that are coming next patch too. Like if they rolled that in and said like, next patch, you know, this and this are fixed, this and are changed, like I would be okay if they rolled like patch notes into the release view as well. But
Wait, like you just read about it when they put it in without like
well, like you just said, like for
announcing it?
example, like would you be okay if like if there was nothing on the release view for next patch or whatever. Well, like if that was ever the case, then they could put on tiles that were like bug fixes or like
Yeah.
gameplay changes or something like that. But
How are you going to sell ships then? That's the problem, right? Because I think a lot of people go there and look at the same thing I'm looking at. Majority, like we're not talking about content creators and those who follow content
yeah,
creators, but if there's nothing for the next patch, how are people going to get hyped about it?
I don't know, but that's good in my opinion. And this is something
I
where
agree.
Mike talked about this as well. He I think it was on ATC, the one that you were on, I think. Um, he said something to the effect, it could have been one of his React videos, but he said something to the effect of like, this change basically takes the roadmap out of the hands of the marketing department. And I think
If
that's
what they say
if the stuff,
happens.
yes, if the stuff that they put on for sure next patch actually does reliably come out, yes, fair enough. But like you're saying, like, well, how are they going to sell ships? Well, they're not going to do it via the roadmap, which is fucking great.
Yeah,
So uh, so overall, I think those changes are positive, but
or neutral. Like I would say, for some of us
or
it's
neutral,
good.
yeah.
For some of us
Or
it's
the
not.
jury's still out. Yeah, the
Yeah,
jury's
yeah.
still out
But
potentially. Yeah.
it's not a big deal. Honestly, I don't think that's big deal
No, and frankly, like even like I guess to get into like the big deal part of things too, like a
before
lot of
people
people are
think that we
talking about
are
like
white knights or.
how it's being gutted, like even that, like I don't think, all this stuff about like, oh, this is removed, this is removed, this is removed, this is possibly delayed. It's like that stuff, fine, whatever. Like I don't understand why that's so much of a freak out issue at this point.
With things being
Simply
removed.
because like the things being removed simply because like when Richard Tyre was on, he basically said that that was going to happen. Like
I don't care.
he's like,
This is
we're
where we
yeah,
disagree. No,
okay,
no. I don't care what Richard Tyre said. There's a Cameron actually said this perfectly. It's okay for some things to not make it because roadmap is like but roadmap is a thing where you are trying to tell me what you think you're going to accomplish. If they only know like 25% of what they're going to accomplish within like 2-3 months,
yes.
then
Well,
they're
this is what we're
completely
gonna.
competent idiots, and I
Yes,
don't
this
think
is
they are. Just saying, I don't think
we're
they are.
we're not getting to. Well,
No, I
okay.
think this is
We're
marketing as well. I think this is literally feeding some, money machine, keeping the loop of like, this is coming, so that
oh
people,
yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I don't think
So
devs don't know. It's like the 2 year meme where like it's coming out in 2 years. Of course, he knew 8 years ago that this is going to take 10 plus years. But did he say that? No, no, he didn't say that.
well, I don't know. I mean, then he's yeah. I mean, there's that. Again, I mean, I'm going to talk about Mike here again, but he was at, for example, like the one thing that we're seeing memed on a lot right now is that 2016 thing where they said 3.1 is going to be like repair and salvage, and 3.2 is
Everything,
going to
yeah.
be this and farming and all these ships and stuff like that. And Mike was saying that he was in the audience there and he was
Yeah.
standing next to one of their devs, and their dev was just like, "That's not fucking happening," like
But that's what I'm saying.
like. So
That's what I'm
like
saying. I
yeah.
don't think the devs are incompetent idiots. I think
Yeah.
someone else is using roadmap as a tool, or that
Yes.
entire
Yeah.
concept
To
as a
drive hype,
tool. Yeah. And
which
it made
which I
them
will actually
really bad.
say like this, that is something that is really negative about this, like all these things being pulled off the roadmap, even if they basically said we're going to change how we're um they're going to change how we implement features. We're going to cook them a little bit longer through Squadron 42, et cetera, et cetera. Like conveniently, nothing got pulled off of the roadmap, even though they flat out said that they were going to do that until after CitizenCon, after all the funding drives through the end of the year, and after it's obvious that that was also a that was also a marketing decision as well. You know, so that I think is kind of one of the negative things. Like they knew all this stuff was not going to be in the patches that they had them listed in, but they delayed taking them off until after those funding drives. Um,
An example also where they do this, which I haven't heard anyone mention for this particular moment in time, is we got the sale on all four hulls, right? Hull A, B, C, D, maybe even E. No, no, E was not on sale. And then they let them being sold for a week or two. You can still buy them, I think. and then
Delayed the whole sea. Yeah.
delayed the whole sea after a week of sales. Like, come on, man. Like, don't debate people like that. Don't try to sneak things in, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It's
So,
just
okay.
so
So
silly.
that's definitely like getting into the more kind of negative aspect of this release view change. But I think the biggest thing for me that stands out as a just beyond negative was the delivery of this, because I think it really did a good job of gaslighting the community. Statements to the effect of like, oh, like, people still clearly don't understand how fluid gameplay is, and it's like, I can tell you exactly why people think that. In fact, I have the quote right here. So this was February, and people have probably already seen this video around because it's been thrown around a lot since we got this roadmap roundup update. Um, First, I guess I'll read the roadmap roundup. Well, no, I summarized it, I guess, there in saying that they said, we're still getting a lot of distracting noise from the backers, because people think that the things that are on the release view are promises, and they don't understand that gameplay or game development is fluid, etc. And it just smacks
They even
so
say like,
hard
we
in
did
light
this
of,
to show you how fluid it is. Like,
yeah.
bitch,
But
what?
here's Aaron Roberts and Jared sitting down in February 8th of 2019. This isn't even 2016. This is 2019. Here's the quote: "With the release of the roadmap, I have very much made sure that what we put in there is what we are pretty damn sure we can achieve with the
Word for word.
resources we have right now. Specifically, with the fact that people may be pulled onto Squadron. We hope to be able to add some stuff to the roadmap, actually. With this new iteration of the roadmap, we put in what we are pretty damn sure we can do. And towards the end of the year, we will be able to actually add stuff to the roadmap instead of taking it out." That was 2019, word for word, from Aaron Roberts, one of the department heads of CIG, and Jared sitting down and saying that. So you're confused why people think that the stuff that's on the roadmap is a fucking promise? It's because you said it was a fucking promise.
You know what's
Or at
funny
least you
to
said
me?
that you're pretty damn sure about it. And man, like, it just, like, I don't get angry about this, and I'm generally pretty on side with the community team here, but like, this was unacceptable. This was
Yeah.
gaslighting, and as you can tell, it actually makes me pretty fucking angry.
Just the
And
fact
then
that
on
someone
top of
had
it,
to say that, him back then, that, you know, that we should expect things on the road, like confirming that, like, isn't that
yeah,
what it's supposed to be in the first place? But you did so bad that someone had to come out and state, okay, we didn't do this properly, but from now on we
yeah,
promise this and this,
yep,
and
and
fucking
double
did not
down.
deliver on anything they said there. Like, it's horrible. It's
Yeah.
And then blame
So,
community for this. Like, what the
yeah,
hell,
exactly,
bro?
and then to come out here and have the audacity to say that the people who are making noise about stuff shifting around on the roadmap, don't understand the fluidity of development. Well, one of your department's heads said it's not going to be an issue. Then we got a further updated roadmap in 2020. I think it was around October. It was when Jake Acapella took and we got the progress tracker and stuff like that. And they implemented this new thing where you had your confirmed features and your tentative features. And what they told us then was that if it's tentative, it's about a 70% chance that it's going to make it in. Fast forward to 2022, their hit rate on that is under 30% in a lot of cases. And now, again, you have
So
the
disrespectful.
audacity with the audacity to come and tell us in this post that we just don't understand how fluid game development is. Well, even with
You
your
feed us
updated
information.
roadmap, you told us approximately 70% chance and delivered 30%. This is why people are upset.
I'm
So
not a
don't
game dev.
fucking gaslight us by saying, that we just don't understand how fluid game development is, because we're going off of what you fucking told us.
Exactly. I'm not a game dev. I'm not supposed to know. I just want to enjoy the game. I want to fund, help the project and all that. But if you feed me certain information, why would you not expect me to use that information as my quote unquote knowledge when following your project? So it's
Yes.
so backwards. Now I'm gonna go ahead and like state my thing here, even though the more times I repeat this, the less I believe in it, and I'm gonna be bold enough, which we never do, and but I will say it. So first of all, what I'm about to say is about someone doing something as their job, not as a person. Like I'm not here to attack Jake Acapella personally. I don't know the guy. From what I've heard, he's a very nice guy. I don't
I
think
like him a
he's a
lot. I've heard
there
him
we
in a
go.
bunch of
I don't think he's a
podcasts.
bad
And
person or anything
no,
like that. So let's put that aside. This is horrible. He has to be held accountable or someone else. But
whoever
he
wrote
signed
this
it.
anyways,
He
I
signed
mean,
it. So he's the one that we look at. And I don't understand how did this come out. Would like someone had to read this and understand how the backer of the project will feel targeted with this.
patronized. Let's talk about feeling like you're being patronized
Sure.
too as well.
Yeah. So what I just don't understand, like Jay came there recently, relatively. He should still have that idea of how it is to be on the other side, and then whoever else goes through this did not, it's like a lecture or whatever. Like you need someone to tell you that okay, this can go live, whatever. And then on top of that, shit happens. People make mistakes. Companies make mistakes. That's fine.
Yeah.
Then the day after, when you see the shit show and your content creators, a lot of them, all of them saying, hey, are you crazy? What are you telling me? Then read your fucking
Well, not all of them.
roundup and make a
Some
new video and say, okay, we didn't mean this. This came out wrong. If it did,
yes,
because I
and
still
that's
have to hope
possible.
that this is what
Yes,
happened. But then again,
I
their
hope that's the case.
communication is shit because no one sat down and said, I mean, if they do it in a month, like that, what the fuck, right? So someone also said that they saw in I was watching, I don't know who I was watching, but someone said that in certain, I don't know if this is true information or what, but we do have devs and members of community management team of CIG in certain discords, quite a lot of them. They're very active, which is a great thing in general.
Awesome. Yeah.
But somewhere, some of them said that they're just going to wait for this to die down. If this is true, so I've heard this in another YouTube video. Don't want to say the source or anything. It doesn't matter. If this is the case as well, what the fuck, dude? Like how? Like just extinguish the fire. You just set us all on fire. Just come out and say
Yeah.
something about it. Like it's not
Yeah.
okay. It's not okay.
It's no, it's not. And I have heard other content creators and things saying that this is basically people getting mad about nothing. And while I will agree that, like people who fly into a rage every time stuff shifted around on the roadmap, probably, you know, like maybe, chill out a little bit, but like but the delivery of this in my opinion was just
Well,
it was unacceptable, and it was duplicitous, and it flat out did not acknowledge, the things that had been said. And like I should also preface all of this by saying like understand that gameplay is fluid. I understand that things get delayed and stuff like that, but it does not excuse the fact that what we were being told by department heads and by the people who are in charge of the roadmap does not line up with what was actually happening. And that I think it is perfectly okay for people to be upset about that, especially with this kind of letter that we were basically sent by the community team saying, what it said, and telling us basically we're all overreacting and treating things like promises when they weren't.
I,
Yeah, yeah. I just I'm stuttering and rambling because I'm genuinely
Yeah.
angry, and I will say that I haven't I don't typically get fired up
No, it's
about,
usually me. Yeah.
you know, but,
So I think
yeah, this
folks
is
who are toning
inappropriate.
this down are either so used to being, fed shit, for the lack of a better word, that they're just, they're like, just get used to it and keep eating it, and I know there's certain people like that in Star Citizen community. I don't even think these are like white knights or whatever. It's just been so long, and they're like, whatever, man. It's like, let's, let them do their shit. I don't care. Then they should not be part of the conversation, honestly. Like, if you are okay with eating shit, just go and eat your shit, But that doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. The other group of people who are toning this down, I think they genuinely don't understand what the fuzz is all about. Because I think a lot of folks are thinking that we're losing our minds over the change they've made.
Yeah.
Where
No,
that's really not a problem. I mean, you might like
100%.
it or
Yeah.
dislike it. That's fine. No one
It's
is
a good change.
raging because of that. The problem is exactly the delivery, what they did, how disrespected I feel, like directly. And then even I'm really okay with people making mistakes, but then no one coming out and saying, okay, well, fuck. That's where the issue is. I mean, in the end, dude, like, we are funding these projects. When I say we, I'm not like we as backers, and most of the content creators as well and whatnot. Like, you can't just drop a bomb like that. I mean, obviously they can. You know what's funny? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this like, gets the funding even higher. Like, I don't know. I want to add one thing.
If they start delivering this stuff that's on the roadmap and actually receiving kind of some positive, feedback
Oh, I mean
about that,
drama,
yeah,
like the
sure.
bad part of it. Like, because
Well,
if
I
we
don't know.
keep
They
throwing
seem
money at them, man, like,
Yeah, but I don't, they clearly don't think that that is going to be the case because that's actually one of the things they mentioned in here. They said that the noise that
noise, dude.
we generate, the backers who are
Jesus.
upset about these kind of things not being these I don't want to say commitments, but like these goals not
Whatever.
being
The
hit
the noise that
repeatedly.
we're
This
making
this
because we don't understand
yeah,
what's happening. Whatever.
this noise that we're generating, is negatively influencing potential backers. It's not quite a quote, but it is actually
That's the gist of
almost
it.
word for word in there. So they clearly think basically that all this noise that we've been generating about roadmap changes and things like that is negatively affecting funding.
It's unacceptable because only a few months ago we
You know what
praised.
would positively affect funding? Releasing stuff.
Oh yeah, couple of months ago we were praising Tyler, who I haven't seen around lately. Actually, now that I think about it, except for like tweeting back and forth with the with their new community manager, who I have all the respect for both of them. But Tyler, we were praising Tyler for saying, and explaining how important this
Yeah,
noise, quote
this
unquote,
noise,
is
exactly.
for
Yeah.
them, and how much they learn from it, and how they are filtering this because they know people are passionate. And like, he went into details in explaining how
Yes,
important
how
this is
they
and how good it is. And now a few months later, Jay comes up and like, you guys are full of shit. You're not intelligent enough to understand.
and you're
Shut up.
creating noise and distracting the devs, which
So
I also have a problem because
so we are
if we're gonna
responsible
talk about
because, of
distractions,
course. Oh
you
yeah.
know, you wanna talk about a distraction, I think that pulling devs off to work on a demo for CitizenCon that will likely never ever see the light of day again, I would say that that's probably more of a distraction than people making noise on social media platforms when something that they're looking forward to, you know, disappears and they're disappointed about it. Uh, anyways, yeah.
It's okay. At least the person who made cloth physics for, we have cloth
Yeah.
physics. Oh wait,
Do
we,
we
oh.
actually? Oh wait, no, we don't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um yeah. Uh, I don't think we need to add anything else to this. Everyone is talking about it. If you want to get like more opinions, for sure,
There's
check like
plenty out there.
any content creator of any size will talk about it. Um, well, for what it's worth, at least they gave some content to content creators to work with. I wish
Yeah.
it was
I
the other
just
side
wish
of it.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, again, I have to reiterate, I do genuinely think that the change they're doing here is good. I just think that their stated reasoning behind it is horseshit. Okay, there
yeah,
we go.
yeah. Surprisingly, we were very heated, and there's a lot of important things that we need to say, but that did not take that much time, actually.
Hmm.
However, well, that
I
gives
guess
us time
because we
to
didn't
talk about.
disagree really.
Yeah. Well, how do you disagree? Well, I guess some people do.
Some people do. Yeah, okay. And that's their prerogative, I suppose.
Yeah, it's okay as long as we know what we're talking about and we disagree. That's okay. I think a lot of people are just like lost in translation here, but whatever. Um, as in like you know, thinking that we're talking about completely different thing is whatever. We talked about it. Anyways, this gives us time to do topic and potential imagination stations, and keep this within some normal hours as well.
What is
uh,
normal? Normal for us is 4 hours.
yeah. Well, I think we're gonna fit into that. We're not gonna go like crazy
Yeah,
over it.
yeah,
Um. Okay, so the topic will be not Jumptown 2.0, but actually the results and statistics
yeah.
that they posted from it, which we can um look at and
Let's see if
yeah,
I can
we can
find
learn
the
a lot about it.
original, links so that we can include it in the description. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. I'll throw it in here. But, yeah. Okay, so we can add this to the description in the video if you want to check it out. But yeah, so basically what happened is after Jumptown 2.0 kind of wrapped up in their trial, RSI or CIG put out a like a infographic about the stats for Jumptown 2.0. And it was interesting. I think there's a lot to talk about on it.
It's a lot to
Do you
talk about, but I just want to start by saying, and sorry for interrupting, but
No,
just
no, no, it's fine. I was gonna actually ask if you wanted to kind of like intro it a little more.
yeah, we had things like this when we were testing some stuff previously, and they have so many interesting statistics, and they were so proud about telling us that someone killed someone else with the fire extinguisher,
I think
for
sure, yeah.
example, right? Which is a famous one, almost as a coffee mug in the forest. But unfortunately for me, even though I really love these numbers, but I feel like we only got it's only a few numbers though, really. Like
Yeah, yeah.
when you look at this list, we have how many missions were accepted legal and illegal, total maize sold legal and illegal, and then deadliest ships, deadliest weapons, which it's almost the same stuff, almost kind of. And then we have top ranked players and top ranked orgs. That's it. Like when you look
Well,
at
they
it
have
all together, okay, yeah.
total kills and kills on foot too. But yeah, yeah.
But I want to like there's so much more that we could have like learned from this event, and I'm sure they did, but that either they didn't want to share because maybe it's not what they want us to know, or they just missed. I don't want to say an opportunity, but like they did, they did not feed us really nice, stuff to look at
Hmm.
and
Okay, so
and break down.
you wanted more information.
Yeah,
Okay.
like 3 times more
Um,
than this.
like what would you like to see?
Well, as we go through this, like I would like to know how much money certain people made, for example.
Hmm.
Um, I want to know how much of the
Isn't
maze is
that
missing.
isn't that to- oh that is in units. Okay, that's not in
Yeah,
USC.
there's no
Okay.
money involved. I
Well,
want to
we could do
know.
with that. That's quick math though, because we know how much the maze was
We
selling
can't.
for.
We can't because well, we have sold maze. No, because there's two ways. There's three ways of selling maze. So you can sell it with the quest, without quest, or mission without mission, um, and then
Does
then
it
on,
does
on
the
lawful and
mission
unlawful.
See, I never yeah, the lawful and unlawful though, like that's just two set figures, and that's easy enough to look up and calculate.
Okay, so, well, the problem is like you have lawful and unlawful, and in both
Or
cases, you can sell it with or without mission,
yeah.
and
Does that
this
affect the
affects,
price?
yes, greatly.
Oh, okay.
So
Hmm.
we don't have these numbers at all. Um, yeah, we don't we don't really have the total number of how do you call that, unique players that were part of it, and stuff like that,
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right,
Yep.
like there's I mean, I can go on
Yeah,
and on.
they're clearly tracking.
Oh,
That would
they're
be an
tracking all
interesting
of
fact.
this, right? And it's more important that they get this info than us. For us,
Actually,
this is just like a fun thing, right? But
you know what's something that I like that would actually be that's something interesting. Like they could have kept this infographic, but then had like further breakdowns too, hey? Like cuz like you gave us the top 5 deadliest ships. What's the 6th one? Where's the Ares Ion? Like if I wanted to look up a specific ship to see
true,
how many kills were made by an Aurora? Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Then you could,
stuff like
yeah,
that. Like that would be interesting to know. Okay, fair enough. More information would be good. Honestly, I feel like they could have
FPS
the,
kills, FPS
the
guns that were used.
yeah, they have the kills on foot, but they don't have the weapons. But like
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, the ship weapons are less relevant. I mean, I guess with this the CF with the yeah, no, that
There's
could
some
because
big
like
discrepancies. So let's
yeah,
start breaking this down. Okay, I would leave missions and Maze sold for the end because that gives us a lot about the actual event. So we can maybe start with like top 5 deadliest ships.
I think the patch the like what patch it was under too would be important information too because I like the Redeemer nerf
Mm.
happened halfway through. It's the same thing with the Ion. The Ion nerf I think happened halfway between uh Jumptown if I'm not
I think it
mistaken.
happened just before it though.
Because, like, I'd wanna see like, I would wanna see, like, w where was the Aegis Redeemer before the nerf? Where was the Aegis Redeemer after the nerf? Like, you know,
I
um,
think not no changes happened during Jumptown 2.0.
you
I
don't
could be wrong.
I could be wrong too here. I thought they nerfed the Redeemer halfway through, um, or, like, killed the turret rotation rate on it. But, yeah, I could be
Maybe.
wrong. Because I will say, like, it is a little surprising to see the Redeemer at the top just because with the reduced turn rate on those turrets, they are pretty significantly uh, reduced in the effectiveness. Um,
I think you don't really get how much people are using Redeemer as a solo ship. And
what's
because it
even
has,
worse is a solo ship.
it's so tanky that you just can't kill it. So
Yeah, well, it does. I admittedly, yeah, it's got two size 3 shields on it. It's
yeah, it's unkillable
bonkers.
basically, and it's agile enough to use it as a solo ship, which sucks for me, but whatever.
I don't know, man. I disagree with that. I've tried soloing with my Redeemer just for the walls. Like when it first came out, I was like, yeah, let's go see if I can kill some stuff with it.
You
It's
get used to it, man. Like Cromern is not
pretty
using
tricky.
anything but that, and he's doing like bunker missions, and so he's like he goes down to the bunker and kills all the turrets,
Yeah, because you could just
tanks them
tank the
face
fire.
on
Yeah,
like no
yeah.
issues, and then lands like pinpoint landing, and yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, so let's go through this and let's start breaking down. So top 5 deadliest ships were uh Aegis Redeemer with 5,010 kills, and then Aegis Gladius with 4.9 k kills. It's so close. It's like so close. I'm surprised by this actually.
I'm
Uh,
surprised the arrow isn't on here too, to be honest. Like yeah.
I don't know what these kills are though. That's a thing. Like, did they kill other ships or did they kill like the amount of players killed on board
Yeah,
other
okay.
ships or or no? I mean, it has to be like all together because we do have Hercules, in third place with 4,125 kills, and Hercules
The A2.
is that the bomber.
That's the bomber. Yeah.
Now here's the problem with this. Well, let's just finish the list. So then the fourth one is Crusader Ares Inferno with
Which actually,
3.1,
yeah.
and then Vanguard Sentinel with 3.1, basically the same number, almost the same number.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised it was the Inferno. I saw way more people in Ions than
Yeah, but
Inferno.
Iron has to like go back and forth, right? You
Yeah.
can't refuel there. I mean,
No, no,
rearm.
no. The Inferno is the one with the
Oh
Gatling gun.
shit, you're right. I guess that Gatling gun is just more deadly than, I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, it fucking tears shit up. I love it.
Okay, now I'm gonna jump to deadliest weapons, and then I'm gonna we're gonna look at something. So to no surprise, the most kills were done with size 3 Panther repeater,
Yep.
which is a laser repeater, by more than half compared to the second place, which is again size 4 Rhino repeater, which is the same gun
Yeah.
basically. Um,
Well, that's just because there's more ships out there with size 3 hard points. Size 4s are pretty rare
Yeah, but like
comparatively.
it's obviously a weapon of choice for majority of people, and probably every
Yeah.
gladius is using them.
Yeah.
And then
Laser repeaters.
and then the third one is Gatling gun, that
That's
is
the Inferno
Inferno,
Gatling.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then half of
Then
that
the Ion cannon.
is Ion cannon, which is kind of strange because Ion is not even on this list. And then Sentinels are not using Panthers or Rhinos, so if they have 3.1k kills, were their weapons? Like, what did they use? Because Sentinel cannot use
Um,
any of this.
I have heard that a lot of Vanguard pilots are using size 4 gimbaled instead of a fixed size 5, just because the DPS is actually pretty close, but you get a lot more shots with a size 4.
I
So it's
can't
possible
use
that,
on Vanguard. I guess, yeah, I guess. But I can't use this combination of fixed and gimbal. It just fucks me up with like two pips, and because you can't gimbal the built-in guns, right?
yeah, no, those are
And
fixed. Those are,
they're not on the list either. So it's kind
yeah.
of strange. I don't know how correct these numbers are. And then the fifth is Colossus Bomb with 1,663 kills. Now, this is an important number
Yeah.
because this means that
3,000
A2,
kills in the A2. We're done with the guns.
there's no fucking way this is
Actually,
true.
that's not true. The A2s, if you have people in the turret, that A2 is fucking
How
deadly.
many people are in turrets of A2? Come on, let's be realistic here. Because you need to organize a group. None
I
of
don't
the
know, you see it
streamers were
pretty
using them,
frequently in,
really. They were all using Cutlass Blacks and Auroras. The
wow.
A2s were flying over and dropping bombs from every experience that I've had.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw Burks a couple videos from Burks where they had their A2s crewed up because they have the size 5 guns on them, man. Like
No, they're
they're
good.
shredders.
I'm not saying they're not good, but
How reliable are these stats? I guess
bro,
ultimately
that's
we
like
don't know because we don't
huge
get to see it.
difference. Like 1,600 with the bomb out of. So you want to tell me there's half of the kills, more than half of the kills
More than
on
half the
A2
kills were done with
were
guns.
guns.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it, dude.
Well, they have the fixed guns too. So if an A2 is like coming down and like just picking off ships that were landed, does that count as a kill? That's what I'd like to know too. Like
I
if
don't
you
know.
kill the ship, does that count as a kill, or is it only when you kill players?
See what I mean? Like this information, when you see this chart, it's kind of cool, but then when you start breaking it down, it's kind of shit because you can't figure
Yeah,
out.
I still wouldn't call it shit. I think
Well,
it's
I mean,
interesting still.
you don't know if they're wrong or if what's happening. You can't decipher what's happening. That's the problem with it, and then it's kind of useless. If you like,
Well,
what's wrong
it
with this?
ultimately it is kind of useless in general. What does it matter?
I think it
like
matters.
where the most kills are coming from in a specific environment. Like it matters for them for balancing purposes, and
Yeah,
but
it
they have a
defines
much
meta
more
kind of.
complete picture of that data, right? Like they know exactly if
I
it was
hope
ship
so.
kills or player kills. Like because they have all those logs, right? So, but for me, when I looked at this, it's interesting because like you went in a different direction than I did when I was looking at this. For me, the thing that jumped out was the difference between the amount of people who accepted legal missions and illegal
Wait,
missions,
wait,
and the difference between the
wait. That's
people who.
that's the main thing. Just leave it for
Oh, we're
now.
saving that.
Of
Oh,
of
okay,
course, that's what I said
okay,
at the beginning. Like that's what I want to break down completely because that tells us a lot
oh,
about
okay.
the event. So
Well, it
after,
it gives us a lot of questions too, but
well,
yeah.
yeah, speculation exactly. And so after we had like total kills, which is 63,000. This one I don't understand as well. Out of which 11, almost 12K are on foot. 'Cause how come? What? See, what is a kill, dude? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is
Does a
kill
ship
is a
count
ship
as a
kill or like crew of a ship, or
does it have to be the player?
is it like ships plus players? Like, I don't know. That's a huge difference, though. And then what counts as kill? Like, are they counting total kills across the everything, or
It
just
must be
above
the
Jumptown?
kills must be they'd have to be player kills. Like
No, no, I
I
know,
don't
but like, is it? Oh, you mean player versus player?
yeah, yeah, like when it says like
How do you
5,000
track this?
kills by the Redeemer, like
Because Jumptown,
that's gotta be kills, like the actual players, not the ships.
but
It'd
Jumptown is
have to
like
be.
in multiple places, so they would have to like track at certain times in certain area, and then I don't know.
That's not super surprising given what they've shown us with the UI that they're building in the back end. Like even in 2019, like they were showing us how they could literally zoom in on particular areas and see what was happening via logs for like those particular just in those areas because everything was iconographic. Um so that I'm not super surprised at. I think it would be pretty easy for them to basically um just basically zoom in and access the logs kind of like from like the kills in that area. Because like I don't know if you remember, but in that 2019 video, and again, like pinch of salt with this because we don't know how much of this was actually real time. Um, they were able to see from the overhead star map where the skulls were popping up where players were dying, right? And then they were able to zoom in on those specifically, those skulls, and see, who killed what with what in what ship. Um,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I didn't
so
see that, but like,
if that is the UI that they have available to them, makes sense that they'd be
yeah,
able to
but what
basically just look
counts?
at all
Like, are if people are fighting, to turn off
the beacon.
whatever.
Like, are they counting kills from like that entire moon?
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't really know.
that's what I'm
Or
saying.
is it like within a certain period or certain distance of Jumptown?
If
We don't know.
someone
Yeah.
dies to um Arlington Gang Idris doing above that moon or whatever, is that count? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
chaotic. Because the last thing that I saw like this was, what was it? Was it Theaters of War testing or something where they were like breaking down stuff, something like that? But it was like
They did a
close.
Xeno threat one, didn't they? I think they did a Xeno threat.
Did they?
I
Maybe.
thought, or maybe it was Nine Tails.
I don't
I
think they
don't
did for
remember.
90. The one that I remember, I kind of feel like it was like a closed environment, uh, where tracking makes more sense. Where does the fire extinguisher come from? That's Theaters of War, right?
That's
Yeah.
Theaters of War. Yeah.
And then, but that's like closed battleground. Of course, they can track everything there. Like, this is open fucking. Maybe they can. Obviously, like, this is just me
Yeah.
speculating. I don't know.
Asking questions about it for
Huge
sure.
difference between like kills on foot and total kills.
I'll throw a link in chat right now too if anybody wants to kind of see it right away. But
Oh.
this is the infographic we're talking about.
The
But
last The last one, I don't
Yeah.
really feel like it carries any weight. Where they have like top ranked players and top ranked orgs. I mean, cool. Shout out for these players with like top mace count and top 5 kills, or rather top kills. I don't recognize anyone here, so no content creators were part of these like
I
big
recognize
ones.
works. That's oh, it's for the org anyways.
Orgs, I recognize all of them.
Oh, I don't. I recognize 2.
Evil Organized, I know. Test Squadron, I know. Nova
So yeah.
Intergalactic, and the Corporation. I think I've heard about them because I think one of these two is like Russian, and then Skunkworks. You know Skunkworks,
Yeah.
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 But all of these, someone
I
ran
recognize
a
Base
research.
94. I recognize the name anyways.
Jace? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
I've just seen him on NA servers every now and then, if I'm not mistaken. But
I see, like they have these numbers, and this just brings me back to where I said like we should have seasoned resets with with top scores for something where people would
yeah,
like
I agree.
appreciate the
Yeah.
reset. But yeah, they can obviously do it. They just, if they want to, whatever. Okay, so we also got what you were saying, what you were talking about, like missions accepted, where we have 73,000 legal and only 6,000 illegal. So you have to be you need to have crime stat in order to accept the mission as illegal.
Yeah.
And then total mace sold legal, we have 21.5 million to 6.34 million.
Illegal. Yeah.
Huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. That I think is the biggest takeaway from this. It's looking at this. This was the thing that jumped out at me. There is a huge disparity between legal and illegal players, and this is not new. This was one of my primary complaints with Ninetales Lockdown, was that every time I went there, there was like half the server fighting for the legal people, and then like occasionally one person, one red person would show up, one red player, and either get immediately gibbed or just turn around and be like, "Fuck that," and leave.
Are you
Um,
surprised?
no, no. At the end of the day, no, I'm not really. But I still think that this, seeing this play through in Jumptown, this should be telling for CIG. But it raises a lot of questions for me, because it's like, is this intended? Is it intended in a place like Stanton for this to be the rough breakdown of like legal to illegal players in the Stanton system? Or is this evidence of a flaw in game design,
Uh,
insofar as
to me, this is
your
flaw because
criminal system, your prison system is disincentivizing illegal play so much that you have, a difference of, you know, 72,000, 73,000 legal players. I mean, this doesn't necessarily translate directly to players, but like, let's use this as an example of player split. 73,000 legal to 6,000 illegal. Like, if you want a
what
PvP event that does not, those kind of
mm,
breakdowns, those sorts of balances don't
it's very bad.
encourage that PvP,
So first of
because
all, Jumptown is drug smuggling event. So by default, it should have more illegal players than, in my opinion, than legal. So it should be like illegal players making easy money, unless if they're being caught by a legal player, right? Who is like bounty hunter or whatever. As like the idea, right? Like in its core. And if you think about it, like the original Jumptown, right? Like you were smuggling drugs. So they
yeah,
made it
everybody
now so that you can
there
be
wasn't a law
illegal.
system. Yeah, there
It
wasn't
wasn't,
a
but
law
like the
system there,
idea of
but
what happened there, like,
but
right?
essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
like everybody who was doing it was illegal. And there were players specifically who were going in there, and that was their reason for shooting down, people who are hauling these drugs is like, well, you're smuggling drugs, you're doing something illegal, and I'm playing as a police officer, so
Role
you
playing,
know,
sorry.
yeah, role playing because that's all you could do at the time. Like there was no law system
Yeah.
in Jumptown One, but you know, yeah, like that was the thing. Anybody who's going there and running those drugs for profit was essentially breaking the law, you know. But there was just no structure for that.
Prime
And here,
suspect, pleasure. Do we agree?
ye- yes, I think ultimately it is that threat of basically just as soon as you die, you go to prison. Um, like that steers a lot of people away from it. And why wouldn't it really? Because, like
It's the end of your gameplay. That's it.
it's the end of your gameplay for the day. Unless by some miracle Klesher is working properly, in which case you can maybe mine your way out, or if you
You
have
can.
friends,
It
you
works.
can you can you
But
can
still, man,
make an escape. But like we're
it's a
talking,
timed event where you can
it,
make money. So if you end up in Clasher, this effectively reduces the time you can enjoy
yes, yeah.
this new gameplay loop.
As
So
opposed to the other side, which is basically wake up in a hospital, ditch your gown, jump into a ship, and then go back. You know, like
and you
it.
take your like respawn above whatever station it is, and you're there all the time,
Yeah.
right?
So I mean, so that's kind of where I go. Like, but at the same time, like Stanton isn't a lawless system.
I don't think that matters
Stanton, well,
in this case. This is a drug smuggling situation, bro. You want to tell me Yella is not it's Grim Hex above it? What are you talking about?
sure.
We're not
There's
having this on Hurston. We're not having
no,
this in Crusader like in the cloud.
but like it is in Crusader system. That's what I'm saying, right?
What?
Like
Listen, it can.
it's a short jump
It's
from
like saying
Crusader.
it's like saying crime is happening nowadays in. It's not only happening in pirate coves and islands.
Sure, but there are certain places where it happens more than in other places. Like
Yes.
crime in, you know,
Let's
in
not take
I
like
don't know.
country, but let's somewhere where there's like no law enforcement at all in
Yes,
certain places, it's easier to commit crime, right? But
yeah,
also, there's nothing to go for as a criminal. So crime is usually being organized somewhere, but it attacks places like Stanton because I mean, you need to get something out of this crime, right? You're not
yes,
gonna
yeah,
rob the bank if there's no bank. Can we agree with that? Right? Like there needs to be something there, and usually
yes, I
that's in a
agree. And like,
lawful
and they
place.
have said that Stanton, like, but this is kind of what I'm saying. Like the other side of this um argument is basically that like if you wanted to see a bigger or like these legal and illegal places or numbers switch places, like you'd go to some place like Pyro. But we don't have Pyro right now. So basically
I
what
don't think you're right. I'm sorry, but I think pyro
well,
is where you run away as a pirate.
there's
You're
no
not gonna.
monitoring there. It's like we just said, like it's like going to a place where no law enforcement
Okay,
exists,
let's talk
right?
about this. Okay, pyro. There's nothing in pyro, and it's lawless. What the fuck are you going to pirate
Well, we
in
know that
pyro?
it's that there's stuff in Pyro. We saw that at CitizenCon. We saw their stations. We saw there's settlements that
Whose
potentially have
settlements?
rare. There, that's the thing. Like Pyro isn't uninhabited. It
It's not.
does have a bunch. It does have people who live there. It's not empty. It's not completely barren. It's
Sure,
not
but where?
Nyx.
Like, do you think the real hits are going to be within pyro? I
I
don't
think
see it
there'd
like
be
that.
plenty of. I think there'd be plenty of crime happening in Pyro because there's
I hope
gangs
not.
there that are warring.
Over
Like
what? Or what?
drug trade, drug labs there.
Yeah,
It's
but
easier
what?
to
Like,
manufacture your drugs in Pyro and ship them into Stanton than it is to
I
have
so want to
your
draw the line like with real world, and I can like completely explain, but I don't want to like go with you know places
right.
and states, but countries. Sorry. The way I see this is pirates are stationed in Pyro mostly. Of course, there's some crime there because it's a lawless place. But the big hits are they go to Stanton, fuck shit up, and run away to Pyro with loot with booty.
Yes,
That's
and
how
I'm sure that
piracy works.
yes, and I'm sure that also happens. And like Stanton is definitely not like super high security. They like in the lore even they talk about
It's
how
not. Yeah. It's
how
not Terra.
there's like a huge crime there's a huge crime problem there too.
Yeah.
But but when you are doing crime in Stanton where it's heavily monitored, the risk is much higher. Um
Sure,
and
but we're
and
talking about
if
like,
that is the
yeah,
case, and if that's why they've looked at this breakdown of illegal to illegal stuff happening at Jumptown and said, that makes sense, then, like I guess that's they probably don't see a problem here. But when I
oh
look
my
at
god, I
this,
hope they see a problem.
I see the game that we're playing now and
It's
like
one-sided.
yeah, seeing this like, literally like over 3 times as many uh as many people sold maize legally, or rather 3 times as much maize was sold legally over illegally. Over.
But even funnier, how many times more people took legal mission over illegal. Like, look at this discrepancy:
Yeah.
73,000 to not even 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And lore aside, I don't know, like in the current iteration of the game, that
there's no place for unlawful player to play. Like
not really, not
it's
without being at a
non-existent.
severe disadvantage.
Yeah, like smashing yourself in the head with a baseball bat and then going to play basketball.
Yeah.
It's like it's ridiculous, and it's kind of sad because yeah, they can say, well, it's okay, guys, like you can play unlawful gameplay when Pyro comes out.
You know what I just thought of though? Well, yeah, actually, that is now that you say it, that's that's basically what
Just
we've been
wait a minute, it's
experiencing.
it's 4.0, it's next major patch.
Yeah, next major patch, you could play this, and until then, have fun in prison. But I actually did just think of something that potentially is not indicated here. If people are taking down um
Omare?
the Comare and killing people down there, they're not getting a crime stat, which means that technically they're still on that legal mission,
No,
and technically they're still
no,
selling
no, no, no.
legally.
You wait, what do you mean?
You
No,
don't get a
no.
crime stat if you're killing somebody and there's no Comare.
Well, you can't. There's another thing behind this. Like, if you take unlawful mission and if you sell it in unlawful place, you make more
You get
money,
more money. That's true.
much
Yeah.
more money.
Right.
Like selling it
But
in lawful place without lawful mission, you get like peanuts. It's like not worth doing. Selling it, like returning it, like giving it in with lawful mission is like okay. It's like 15K per box that you had to
yeah,
conga line half an hour for.
yeah.
But then if you actually sell it in green hacks, or if you sell it with the mission in green hacks, then that's big money talking. So yeah, yeah. Oh,
So
I see
basically,
what
if
you're
people
saying,
were
but
yeah, but basically what I'm saying is that like, it's possible that people were still doing the mission legally, but not
just
playing necessarily as a legal player. Still killing everybody, just not getting
yeah.
caught. And that wouldn't be reflected in these numbers, but I don't know how common that is, to be
I don't
honest.
think it is. Like even the guys that I was watching, they wouldn't bother with Comrade that often because it's just so easy to
Yeah,
avoid crime, just stealing ships, and
yeah. Hmm.
and then jumping servers. And that's
Well,
another point.
in which case, yeah, they're playing as legal players, but they're
But
not behaving legally.
no, but then that's another thing. Like then they fuel everything to one person with crime stat. That person takes illegal mission, sells everything, and then they split the money.
Wow.
That's what was happening. Like that
Hmm.
was actually happening.
Okay, well that can't be that common because as we're seeing here, the breakdown of legal to illegal sold
No, because you
is
need to be super
extensive.
fucking organized to play illegal,
Yeah.
and then you're at like 100 times bigger risk because basically legal has no risk. There's no
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah,
Zero.
exactly. just your time and
And
whatever you've got on you.
another thing that we talked about this before, which is a big problem with me when we talk about how good Jumptown 2.0 was, and we both agree it was good fun, and whatever is good fun for any amount of people, as long as it's not like screwing up some other people's experience, which this definitely isn't. Like even if you're like mining or trading, great, because everyone's having chaotic time in Jumptown. You can mine freely wherever the fuck you want. No one's gonna attack you or anything like that.
Yep.
But the problem with this is the way even like bigger groups executed this, but solo players as well, is like jumping servers. Get into your ship, get to bed, log off, log on to another server, check if there's chaos, or you can just like grab a couple of boxes, relog to another server, grab a couple of boxes, relog to another server. Oh shit, there's shit show happening. Log off, get to a server where it's okay. So to me, no matter like even though people had a lot of fun doing these things, I think it means nothing. Like literally in terms of this event, if this is good or bad event or playable at all, we don't know anything about it. Because once we have one server, if that ever happens, where all of the players are in the same place and one box drops every like a minute for 15,000 alpha UC, and everyone's there just like fucking, there's a fucking bloodbath in front of it, like StarCraft bunker, with
Yep.
zerglings running
Yeah,
in. Like we don't know because this is not the actual Star Citizen gameplay, or is
it's true. Yeah.
it? Hopefully it
Well,
isn't.
yeah, hopefully it's not. Yeah, okay. So so the conclusion of this is it's fun to look at, but ultimately doesn't mean anything except for that right now it sucks to play as an illegal player.
So it's nice looking, like infographic, whatever. And I have to say that Jumptown base itself, it looks really good.
It does.
I
It
like it.
needs a second entrance.
It needs a second entrance. I agree.
But
And it needs
yeah.
to be inside a cave.
But ultimately, at the same time, credit where credit's due. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we
yeah.
were asking for stats, and I'm glad that we're starting to see them, and I hope they can continue this. Hopefully, expanding it to a point where we can actually, see more data
Yes,
if we want
please.
to. So
Yes. Agreed. But yeah, thankful for it anyways. Like even if it's not very hero, whatever,
yeah,
it's still something,
it's
and
still fun. It's still
it's fun
fun,
to look
even
at.
if it
Yeah.
isn't super relevant.
And as we said, like it gives you some kind of information. So
Yeah.
we can definitely see that the unlawful system or law system is not really working as intended, I would say. So
Or is it again? Like
I
I,
hope not.
I don't know. Like yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to add something else, or are we going to one of
I
our
think that's it.
imagination
No, it was
stations?
it was mainly that breakdown between the, illegal and legal missions that I thought was, like,
Yeah,
worth
I
exploring.
agree. I agree. Okay, imagination station. Before we start, we're only like 2 hours in, 2:20.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so we can do both of. We have two topics. I think we can break down both. Before we start with either, imagination station is where we imagine. So none of these are facts. We're not trying to be like developers of the game, armchair
Yeah.
developers or anything.
We're
We're
not
just like trying to
seriously
figure out
high on
what's fun.
hopium.
Yeah,
We're
just because Star Citizen does allow that imagine, in future.
yeah.
Man, you know what? Did you hear like when I was talking to Mike, what like that just came to me um that they might not want to tell us stuff because then we can't imagine anymore. For as long as
Yes,
we're
yeah, yeah,
imagining, like we
yeah,
like what we imagine and we spend money, the moment they
yeah.
tell us.
We even said this on one of our episodes, I'm
Did
pretty
we?
sure. It's like one I'm pretty sure we had it
Maybe.
if it might have been off air, actually. I don't know if it
Mm,
actually made it to an episode, but I know that we
maybe,
talked
maybe.
about how, like once the game gets to a point where it's solidified and you can't imagine anymore,
Oh yeah.
like people have to decide whether or not they like the game, and a lot of people probably won't.
I wonder if
And
like the process is, if this fact is like kind of sandbagging the whole process of sharing the information, because you show something immediately, half of the people will like it and half will not, or like whatever the percentage is, no matter, right?
yeah, yeah,
We'll see.
we will see.
Okay, so the first imagination stations, we'll go with yours, and
Okay.
go for it. Just break it down.
Yeah, so I was I can't remember exactly what I was watching that kind of inspired this for me, but we have known for a long time that the current damage system of like ships having health, and once that health reaches zero, boom, you explode, you die, your ship is lost, all your components are lost, etc., etc. And we've known that that's not the way they intend to go. Like the way they have said that they intend to go is less of a time to kill and more of a time to disable. As in, your ship basically takes damage until it just stops functioning. Like if you lose a cooler, your power plant might just overheat and you have to shut it down or explode, kind of a thing. And you're essentially out of the fight. You're essentially dead, but you know, you're not in a fireball and floating wreckage. You're
Well,
just
not even
basically
that. You're
disabled.
not nothing. Like your ship does not boom and despawn, right?
Yeah, it's just basically a broken piece of equipment, um, that you're sitting in. And it kind of made me think, like, we speculate and we criticize a lot of the game right now based off of this damage model that we know is not going to stick around. So the question I had was, for this imagination station, was like, how will time to disable change the game for us? One of the first things I thought of was, you know, uh, being defeated in combat right now means that you wake up in a hospital, but that's not necessarily going to be the way it is if you were defeated and you're just basically now floating in space. Like you're not dead. Like you so like first and foremost is like death of a spaceman right now has a lot of people pissed off, because they're losing their gear all the time and stuff like that. And that is something that could potentially change. Like if you have time to disable all of a sudden, instead of losing all your shit and waking up in a hospital gown and having to put on new armor and get on a train and get back to your spaceport and claim your ship and blah 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 blah. you know Instead, it's more like, "Shit, I'm stranded. Now I, have to create a beacon to either get a tow or maybe repair or maybe somebody to just come and rescue me instead." Like that right there, that's a pretty big potential change to, like, the way we play the game now.
I I agree, except for I see this being a thing in like PvE environment with relative ease, but in PvP I struggle to see a situation like this happening often, where someone just disables you and leaves you alone. Because
Yeah, yeah,
why would they do that? Like let's think about this. They're gonna attack you if they have a bounty on you, for example. Then they're gonna take you with them unless you kill them.
yep,
So then it's
yep.
then it's game over to them. They're gonna spawn in the hospital, or it's game over for you. You're gonna end up in the prison, or
Well, you end up in prison or they end up potentially floating in space and ideally having somebody come and rescue them, but,
I just struggle
medical
to see
gameplay.
how many people will be like, unless there's a way to punish someone for
Yes.
killing.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
how do you do that with all the like already now? To be honest, man, I don't like the whole system that we have now with the um we were just talking about it. What's the name of those when you're like within reach of the satellite that you know crime exists or doesn't?
Yeah,
So what's the name of these things, man?
the
Just
comma rays.
comrades, yeah. Uh, I feel like that's kind of iffy. I don't know. I think probably they might end up with a system where everything is tracked, unless you somehow can hide your signature or something. Well,
maybe.
and because otherwise, this is so complicated. I mean, I know this is not like it's a little bit like
It's kind of related. I see where you're
kind of
going with
related,
it,
yeah. Because
but
I probably drag a lot of this from Eve, where there's simply space where crime doesn't matter anymore.
yeah,
Um, but if it does matter, you can still commit the crime. But then everyone always like it's known. You can't hide. Like if there's like if you're in a lawful zone, no matter how high the security is, the crime is known. Period. Like you can't hide your crime. And I I think we're gonna end up like that because you
I
have
hope
to
not.
police it. But why? Why?
Well,
It's one of those
because
things on paper sounds good, but
it's possible. Yeah, it's possible it does, but like I hope that there's a way to avoid getting caught. Like you said, even if it involves like jamming a signal or like blocking you being identified or whatever because
would you
I
be
don't know,
okay
that
with
just
just
makes
like
sense,
trying
right?
to escape?
What do you mean?
So you committed a crime, and
Yeah.
in that system where you are, you're a criminal no matter what. But you can maybe manage to escape, go stealthy, so that you're undetectable, and then try to find an alternative way to like sneak out of the system before they
Yeah.
catch you or something. Because
But also why
otherwise, hmm?
sorry, continue. Otherwise,
Uh, how do you like this whole thing where you don't kill someone or how does the gameplay end before someone dies, or the ship is
well, like the way I would like I see what you're saying. Just to answer this, like the way I look at like getting away with a crime is like, for example, if you're like if somebody if somebody is mugging you or whatever, like and they don't want to get caught, they're going to do it in a way that you can't identify them, right? So like you can't charge them. And I think that that should be the way it is in Star Citizen as well. However, um
how good is that
I see
gameplay
what you're
from the
saying.
perspective of the one that is being
Yeah, I
attacked?
see what you're saying in like insofar as like if that is the case, how do you prevent people from basically just like fully killing anybody they disable, you know, and have that still
So,
be fun,
do you know how
like
this works in Eve, by the way? I can like
um
shortly explain.
well, as far as I understand, basically if you're in a legal system and you kill somebody, the big bad police
If you
come
attack
after you
somebody,
and murder you.
not kill, attack.
Okay, attack.
And that's a big difference. So the moment you aggression happens, you're targeted by police. Depending on how high the security system is. So it goes from 0 to 1,
Yeah,
like point 1, point 2, point. So from point 5 to 1, actually no, from point 1 to 1, there's police, and your target, you commit a crime. They jump towards you. The higher the number is, the more police is around. So in 1.0, it takes them like 10 seconds to get there, or even less, and they're gonna jam you. They're gonna fuck you up, right?
yeah,
But if it's like point 2, it's gonna take them like a minute. So if I'm in a frigate, which is a very small ship there, you have enough time to kill me and run away, and that's the risk I'm running. But if I'm in an
yeah,
orca or something huge, okay, I'm gonna tank up, I'm gonna boost my shields, and I'm gonna pray that they're gonna make it before you kill me.
yeah,
And there we have this chance. So then your gameplay is, oh shit, they're coming. I don't have time anymore. I'm gonna either stay there and try to kill you and die, or I'm gonna escape as well. Which creates this idea of both both ships surviving with damage or consequence. And I think if we have that, like, because if you can hide that and do it, then you will never like you will always kill the person, like, or destroy their ship.
yeah. One way around that I could see is like you said, I mean, as soon as you engage in hostility in Eve, you're flagged basically by
Mm.
the police. Well, one of the things that that could kind of like accomplish a similar effect in Star Citizen would be the beacon system. Like if you basically were able to just basically be like, "Ah, shit, I'm being attacked," mash your beacon button basically and say that you need help. And then it's the same kind of situation in like higher security areas, like there's going to be police closer than elsewhere, right? And even if you were disabled and killed, um like, but you launched a beacon, that means basically somebody is going to show up there, find your black box, know who did it, and the person who did it gets that crime stat.
Sure, but what do I
um
get from that as a lawful person?
what do you mean? What do you
I'm
get out
dead.
of that?
How? They found my black box. They didn't
Yeah,
find
yeah,
me.
yeah, but this is what I'm saying, like they found the black box. You're okay, yes, you still died, but the person who gets, like, um the person is now a murderer. And it's known because they have your black box, or they
Sure,
they have the black box. They have the records of that person killing you
but that's their
instead of just.
gameplay. Like they don't care. They're playing
Yeah, but this
unlawful side.
this okay, but this is kind of where it goes a step further, where one of the things they've mentioned in previous dev videos about this is that they want to really strongly disincentivize people from fully killing people. Um like coup de grace style, you're not just downed and waiting for a medical rescue, like you're fucking dead. Like they come and put a bullet in your head kind of a thing. Um, one of the one of the things they said is they want to basically have it so that like murderers are not like looked fondly upon by anybody, even the illegal, your illegal factions basically would have like reputation penalties if you're going around basically just like coup de grace people. Now,
Let's see.
y-
I think it's impossible because until we
it's
have like
possible. Yeah.
fucking your real life ID connected to your character so that you can like make fucking as many accounts as you want and fly different ships and then die and respawn, people will still suffer on the other
Yes.
side from
But
griefing basically
but
because
then
you're
the question kind of becomes, how frequent is that actually going to be? You know
it
what I
doesn't matter
mean?
enough.
Like,
Eve Online, if like if this system did not exist, the game would have died. I can tell you right now, because there's a chance that someone just keeps killing you and there's nothing you can do about it. Like this, they lose their ship. They're fucking like they can get like uh, I don't know, a month of grinding gone, and you're not gonna escape that police. Like, but that's not realistic because you know what I mean. Like, you want to have like indestructible police that just comes and kills the person if they catch them.
no, but I mean, a similar situation to the way there is now, where it's like the higher your heat level, your crime stat level,
And
the more people are going to be, the more people are jumping in after you. Oh
bro,
yeah,
if
but
you
we
and
say
me
that
are
right.
in something, like we're gonna wiggle out of it. Yeah, maybe AI will be
Yeah, right
better. I don't
now because
know. I
the
don't
AI
know.
sucks,
Well, it's hard to imagine,
But
especially like with these like systems like ballistics and whatnot. Like, it's just hard to. I don't know. It's just hard. There's like so many things in my head now
like if
that
they jumped in basically, if let's say, like, I know they said that they don't want the crime stat system in there, but let's say that you have been running around fucking murdering people, um, you know, and like you're getting away with it. Well, like their response to you is going to be immediately jump in with a mantis, so good luck running, and then like I don't know, fucking who knows, like 20 ships basically that are, you know, and if the AI isn't useless, even if they're not great, like I think
wait, but this
even
is this is what I'm saying. I agree. So I attack you, and they start getting there. But what you want is like you want to call them to get there,
well, I think that's one possible solution. Again,
but then I
we've
shut
kind
down
of
your power
deflected
and
from.
you're fucked. Like.
Well, I don't know, unless it's like something that's like, like a chaff or something like that that you fire out of your ship and it. acts as like a beacon. I don't know. Ultimately, I'm
Mm.
kind of like just kind of getting like I see why you're saying like how will time to disable change the game, and your thought is like it won't because you think that people will still basically just like permanently hunt down and kill you, which is it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. All I know is that they have said that they wanna make it so that if somebody is, like, intentionally going around and murdering people, they wanna make it they wanted to develop some sort of system that basically makes it so that, it disincentivizes that gameplay. It's obviously still going to happen, but if the penalties are steep enough, however they manage it, if they manage it, you know, uh it detracts people from basically doing the going full on murder.
Let's imagine they do it.
Even if here's the other thing, they could also just make it so that and I mean, sure, it's not realistic, but uh ultimately, if it became too big of a problem, if you eject, you're invincible. you know, like
I mean, I think this is a good, elegant solution where you gave up your ship. That's punishing enough.
yeah.
I would be okay
Though at
with,
the same time, like that, I guess like that there is the potential that somebody would just stay there and fully destroy your ship out of spite. um,
or
but
use
it
like do something with it,
or loot it.
steal
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that is the other thing too, right? Like potentially, you aren't fully losing your ship for any
Or you
reason.
have
Like
insurance if you
even if
do.
it was like, sure, okay, but basically what I'm saying is like, even if you like, there is always the possibility too that like when you are shot to a point where you're disabled, that you can come back and potentially even reclaim that because it's
If
also
they
possible that
manage to
like
do that, that opens so much. Like even if it's just NPCs disabling ship instead of killing them, then you might need to make a beacon if you don't have a friend who you can trust to come there. Then when you make a beacon, the motherfuckers who respond to a beacon can either help you or they can board your ship and fuck you up and but that opens up so much gameplay, right? Like not to mention like what we were talking about before, like in the
yeah,
atmosphere, even if it's only
yeah,
NPC that's gonna disable your ship and go away, then you have the plummeting into fucking Earth, or whatever planet or moon,
yeah,
and trying
having to
to like just
eject out of it.
survive, and maybe eject near the land so you can go back and find your ship because that's your way to survive, or maybe you can fix like it opens up so
Yeah, maybe
much.
you
It's
can pick
fucking
exactly
amazing.
too. Well, that's the other thing too, right? Like there's storage areas on ships and stuff like that, and we know that like there's going to be repair gameplay too. So that's another potential thing too, right? Like is if somebody disabled you and flew off for any what reason, like possibly they're running from the police because they know that the police are about to show up. Maybe they're just they don't even they're not you're not even worth their time, and they're just like, "Pfft," and then leave. Um,
Mm.
the potential there too is that you could get out
Or you
and
have a Drake ship and you
fix your
don't
ship.
even need an enemy. It's like-
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like if you got disabled, maybe it was just like I said, it was like it was a cooler that went down. You get out, you notice it's not like it's damaged enough that it's not functioning, but it's like pretty easy to fix. And then you patch it up and you're able to kind of limp your way back to back to a station or something like that to actually, replace or repair the cooler for real, right? Like those are the kind of bits of gameplay that we don't have now because it's just, it's not possible. Like your ship's either flying or it's in pieces, you know?
well, even when it's
Um
not, like the Idris explosion is kind of interesting because it breaks ship into several pieces and you can see them, and then immediately after they despawn, after the explosion, right? But
yeah.
ultimately it is the explosion is the end of it, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes just even leaving your ship is the end of it, basically.
But again, like you pointed out there too, like okay, so the Idris breaks up into multiple pieces. Well, with time to disable, even though that ship has catastrophically, detonated, it's still there. So there's yet
Salvage.
more gameplay. Yeah, there's salvage. There's probably people who are still alive in there, um, who survived
More
the reactor
salvage.
going critical. You
Gee,
know, well, yeah,
organs.
like, but that's another thing too, right? Like if you're going in there to salvage, yeah, like you might have to potentially kill survivors who are in there,
Or help save them,
or
whatever.
help
I
them, or
mean,
help save them, stuff like that. But I like what you said there too, about how, like, popping a beacon if you were disabled is potentially risky as well. Like that's something you'd have to consider depending on where you
happens
are.
now, man. It happened
Yeah,
to me. I died in a bunker. I had a fancy armor on, and someone came to rescue me and actually just put the bullet in my head and took my fancy armor and left.
yeah.
Great experience. 10 out of 10.
Well,
I
but here, like there are places like the example I was going to use is like, you know, if you, let's say you're, I don't know, somewhere around Crusader, you got into a fight with some NPCs, they disabled you and left. That's going to be a safer place to pop a beacon
yeah.
than in Pyro when you're like in a rival gang's territory, and the chances of somebody showing up to rescue you are much smaller
Maybe you're gonna
than
be
that
able.
rival
Well,
gang showing
listen
up to
though.
finish the fucking job.
I think these beacons should be NPC actually most of the times, because otherwise
Well,
you're
they, by
probably
the
in an
ratio they
org.
should be.
You're probably an org, or you have at least one friend, and you're like, dude, I
Yeah, please
this
help.
prospector is full of shit, bro. Like please, I need help. I really
Yeah.
do. You're gonna find a way to do it without the beacon, right? We have comms in a way. So
But if they do get to a point where it is 10 to 1,
dude, what if comms
NPCs.
holy shit. You know how in World of Warcraft you have like zone chat?
Yeah.
But guild chat or party chat is like global. What if in Star Citizen there's no such thing like as inter like chat between two systems at all? Would it be
Well, I don't
fucking
think they're
amazing for data running and whatnot?
yeah, like, well, they've flat out said you're not gonna be able to, but I think with
I mean,
honestly,
Discord
though,
no.
exactly,
Yeah,
that's kinda
doesn't
it,
matter.
like, that's where I think, like, they might
Bannable
say
offense.
that they want, chat to be, or, like, messages to have to go through, to not be, but
No
to
fucking way. And actually, good
yeah,
idea on paper again.
it's just
Yeah.
not gonna work. Yeah, it's a good idea on it sounds good on paper, but there's no way that anybody's going to, not have Discord open in a second window or something like that so that
Yeah,
they
I
can
just
chat
like
with their guild.
quality of life.
Yeah. But how
Screw
cool would
up.
it be though
It would
if,
be
like,
cool.
going on that zone chat thing, like, say your ship goes down and you're like, you wanna see if, like, you don't wanna pop a beacon, you wanna be a little bit more, you wanna know, like, kind of who's in your area, and you manage to, like, get your power online so that you can use your scanner, so that you can kind of, like, try to scan for, like, individual ships in the area and then message them directly instead of dropping a beacon that says, like, "Oh, I'm over here,"
Bro,
you
Eve
know?
does that. Like you send little probes and you gather data about like whatever is around the probes. They're so
Yeah.
small you have to scan for them specifically so you can, oh shit, this ship is around.
Yeah.
This ship. The more you play, okay, this
I'm not
guy's
gonna pop a
hunting
beacon
down,
now.
not
Yeah.
doing anything. Like stay
Yeah.
silent or whatever.
Yeah, and that's when you call for your guild or whatever, right? But
Yeah, if you
yeah,
see
I
little
don't know. I just
Astero, for example, it's a guy who's doing the same as you're doing, like exploring. You're gonna be like, "Hey, bro, can you help
yeah,
me?"
or it's like,
Yeah,
oh, you scan him and he's like, oh, he's a like a from the same faction I am or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Like you can message him direct.
It would
That's what
open
I'm.
up so much. I mean, we literally need this for the idea that like is presented to us.
Yeah,
It opens up way too, like, or it would close way too many gameplay loops if we didn't have it.
I legitimately think that full loot PvP or full loot kind of like lose or death of a spaceman would not work with the
Well,
game
it
the way it
obviously
is
doesn't.
currently.
I mean, it really sucks right now.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what
basically.
the first step for all this is like actual persistence, and they talked about this recently as well. Where like we really like that. I don't care about the fucking mug, right? But if I get killed, but the ship stays there,
Yeah,
I
I want
can
to be able to go back
build my way
and
to like getting another ship. I would really like one thing that I really can't stand about Star Citizen. The more I think about it, I was thinking about this like last couple of months. the amount of ships we have as players potentially really fucking sucks. I wish we could have had like I wish you had to make this decision of having like one ship and there's like some crazy tax if you have a second ship or something to
Mm,
like registered. I know it a lot of people will disagree because we play alpha now and like you want to fly all your ships and you pay for them and all that, but like having
I just don't wanna be forced into choosing one style of gameplay.
no take a jack of all trades ship.
You Okay, but you can't, like, for example, you can't do that if you wanna mine. So, basically, if you had that
Yes, you
limited
can.
ship thing,
You
it's
can
like,
get to Odyssey.
Prospector is all I get. Like, you know, and I'm basically mining forever until I'm wealthy enough to be able to I don't know, I don't like it,
Well,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
like it, and
saying.
I get
Like
what you're
two
saying.
ships, but not like 10 ships. Like that's ridiculous.
Well, this is something too that I think is not really represented in this game right now. It's like, because 'cause we're all in one system. So we have like 40 ships or 10 ships or whatever, and they're all in the same star system, so they're all like pretty easy to access. And but
We talked about
like
this, but you still have to get there unless we have cloning. There's something
yeah,
so
but
epic in Elite
it,
Dangerous when you have to like cross the fucking vast,
but that's what I
universe to
mean.
get to another place.
That's what I mean, right? Like right now, obviously it feels like we have too many ships because we have them all concentrated in one system, but like that's not going to be the case when you have more systems, right? Like let's say you have 10 systems, you have 10 ships, you know? Like I could entirely see where it's like, "Oh, I picked this ship. I flew over to this system because I wanted to do this, but now I'm in this system and I don't have any of my other ships here, so I have to go either have my ships shipped to me or go back and get one." And
Or just buy another one.
or buy another one. But, like that's, you know,
I think there should be
you're talking
luxury
about a lot.
tax in the game. I just figured that out. Like you can have 20 ships, it doesn't matter, but you can fly only the registered ones. And let's say if you have like over a certain amount of registered flyable ships, you got to pay for it.
I think the hangars, like hangar fees and docking fees and stuff like that could end up kind of like accomplishing that
Yeah, but
purpose.
what prevents you from like leaving your ship in space?
Just leaving it in space,
We do that in Eve.
I guess. Um, but potentially like okay, if you flew back to get it,
Well, you
yeah,
set
because
up
I
your
guess
own beacon,
the smaller ones do despawn.
It is spawn.
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess one of the ways they could counter that is like, if
Well, it's
if
a
a ship
risk.
is
You can lose
sitting
it.
out in space, if you leave it out there for like fucking a year, it's not going to be super space worthy by the time you get back to it, which is legit. Space is harsh, man.
I wish,
Radio,
but I don't think that's. I mean, let's see. Like the ship that is not being used, if you have to keep an upkeep, but I would like that
yeah.
honestly. That feeds into what I was saying.
I still think that the main inhibiting factor is just going to be the simple scale of Star
But
Citizen.
the problem is we don't know the scale, man. Like
No, of
the
course we
the
don't.
way
But
the
we're an
shit is
imagination
happening
station.
right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the scale is like. What? Why did this die again? The scale is like I don't know, 3 systems maybe.
Well, we'll see. But we're an
Yeah,
imagination station right now,
true,
so
true.
we're imagining that it's, 50 to 100 systems.
Yeah,
And if that's the case, your 10 ships are, not going to feel like a ton of ships when you have to potentially jump 20 star systems to go get one.
yeah, maybe depending on how the ship like transfers are and like like if you
Yeah.
can yeah just I don't know, we'll see.
Yep.
I do think, I mean, we touch on this every now and then because both of us are imagining the game where time to kill is not the way it is now. um and then of course we will not have any of this until we have like proper persistence and
Physicalized damage.
physicalized damage, exactly,
Yeah.
and armor like on the ships which is like connected. um
Yeah.
but yeah, I always get back to a point where I'm kind of scared of ballistics going through and whatnot.
Yeah,
which
that'll be
potentially
that'll
will
be
screw
something
up
they have to fill
everything.
out. But even if they basically just fudge it and basically say that your pilot can't be killed by ballistic penetration, and they have it as simply something that's like designed for internal component damage, like to simulate, a shell going through
You know, I'm up
critical
for like
components.
gamifying things.
Yeah, yeah.
Make it make sense
I
and
just
is also
just do
playable.
that. Just do that. Just make it so that you can't be insta-gibbed. Your pilot can't be insta-gibbed. Because I do think that the idea of shell penetration and, like, damaging components on the way through, I think that's cool. Like, like hull breaches and stuff like that, if you're, like, in a big ship and have to go, like, suit up to try to repair stuff and patch holes and stuff, I think that would be awesome. Or, like,
Go
a
play
shell
Sea
goes
of
through
Thieves,
and
okay?
knocks
It's
out, like, a
awesome for
couple
first like
components.
3 sessions, and then you're like, ah, go there, get the bucket, throw it on, and like tuk, 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 every time the same shit. Come on, like it's old. Or you sink. Have you played Sea of Thieves?
No, actually, I haven't. I've watched it a little bit,
Interesting,
but yeah.
but it gets old. Um, yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's about
Uh,
it with that one. Just, yeah, I guess to, like, just to reiterate, I just think that if they do manage to roll out physicalized damage and more of a time to disable, I think, like, man, like, that is going to really change and potentially ruin, but also potentially add a lot to the game. So,
it will
yeah.
form the game in a way for sure. Like it will give it the completely like different perspective than what we have now.
Yeah,
I'll give you
a little bit
something to think
less
about.
a little
Okay,
bit less FPS, more like adventure, like, survival game feeling.
I think potentially we might end up having some hybrid where like components are damageable and repairable, but hulls are not. I know that's not their idea.
What do you mean?
I mean the health of a ship is basically components,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
but
that's the idea
the
of.
hull is like indestructible
Well, they're
unless like
definitely not doing
salvaged
that
maybe.
because we've already seen, like, they're doing things where, like, your hull can be totally ripped off, by weapon fire and stuff like that. Parts can disappear,
Parts can
your hull
disappear.
plating
You
your
can
hull
lose
plating
wings. You
gets
can
ripped
lose.
open.
But what I'm saying, I think they might end up with like the main body of the ship. Maybe like it can visually be deteriorate or whatever. But
Oh, oh,
think
oh,
about it.
right, but it's
You know.
still
Mm.
right, so it's not, like, breaking apart.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's solid
Yeah,
state, kind of. Like you can have an
actually,
explosion, and the explosion rips your wing off, or whatever. If you have a wing, or your
yeah.
hangar doors, or whatever.
I can't remember if they said that they were
I mean,
aiming
Perseus
to
will have to be
actually,
able to ram ships in half.
um pretty sure they addressed that in the QA check. Um, but, yeah, I can't remember now if they said that they were going to make it so that, ships could be fully deformable or if it was gonna be, just like we had now where it's
If
basically
it
just
was Chris
pieces.
Roberts, they are fully deformable. But I
Mm,
think as the further down we go, I think they're gonna have to like cut down some of these ideas that are
yeah, yeah.
brilliant, except for the fact that you
But
can't
you
have
are
a
right, like,
mirror with Bangle behind.
that will essentially be the game, is like, it'll be component based instead of just health.
I'm okay with that, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, me
Either
too.
like
I
the
mean, that
component doesn't work, it's either dead, repairable,
yeah,
or you can steal it. If you steal a
yeah,
power plant, the ship cannot fly. But then in the
yeah,
end, you have a structure where you can always go in. Maybe you can't repair it anymore, but you can loot or come back for it, or
yeah, or come
loot
back
is
with
there.
parts and potentially repair it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just see that as a potential solution, but obviously we're not
maybe.
devs,
But they
so
did also say too that, like, there still are gonna be damage states that happen where your ship does just full on explode and it's gone. Like
well
they
they
said,
also said pyro last year.
oh my god.
They say things, man, like they say a lot of things.
It's
These
true,
are
but all we're
ideas, right?
Yeah, but like that's timelines, and this is basically their intentions. And absolutely, the intentions can basically, be iterated on and end up not coming to fruition. But so far as I'm aware, they have said that they envision damage situations where like a power plant goes critical or something, and no more ship. It's gone. It's in pieces now. So
I just feel like
like
that
I
there's no benefit except for maybe like, but even like self destruct. I feel like self destruct should cause an explosion. Explosions are great, but it. I think that the most elegant solution is just like each ship having like a certain part of the ship that is like it stays. That's how you recognize this is a
yeah,
caracal, right?
it's an
Yeah.
empty husk at this point because nothing inside of it is functioning anymore, but it's essentially still there. Yeah, I'll be curious.
Maybe you
We'll
can
have to
just
see
come
how
and
it goes.
salvage like the scrap and then it disappears. But like other than that,
Yeah. Well, that's what the
who
reclaimer's
knows?
jaw is for, right? Like it's supposed
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
like full on eat ships, frames and everything.
Maybe they change their mind and Reclaimer's jaw or whatever the fuck clamp now starts refueling ships or I don't
I
know.
mean, they're making the Starfarer into a refinery,
That's what I'm
so,
saying, bro.
we'll
You never
see. Yeah.
know.
Anyways, I guess we can move on to second one now unless you have more stuff
We
to talk
can.
about.
No, no, that's fine. But this will bleed into it, kind of. So mine was. I'm really curious about this because in the end, it's an MMO, and I'm gonna uh, my imagination station. I'll give you a little bit of an intro. I play a lot of MMOs, and I love playing sandbox MMOs. And when I think about any MMO, you have support roles. Um,
Yeah.
such as healers or some other kind like buffers or whatever. And now when I say that, the first thing that comes to your mind is like the MMORPG, but it doesn't have to be. Like for example, when we play Foxhole, you can still be a medic, or you can be an engineer and build bases where others are which others going to use, or you're something like that, or like repairing tanks so that so that they can be reused again or stuff like that. In EVE Online, you have logiships, which I don't know why they're called logi, because logistics are basically
Logistics.
transferring goods, most organizing like transport of things. But I don't know, somehow that evolved in EVE, and logiships are actually support ships. And uh, what EVE has is something I don't think we'll ever see in Star Citizen, but is a very cool design, or rather idea. There's a lot of players in MMO genre that want to support instead of kill. And Eve has a system where certain ships connect via like beams or lasers or whatever, and they're, for example, boosting your capacitor, which like power plant, right? So they have a huge capacitor and they're transferring their power to your ship so they can like uh, overheat your weapons or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
literally make your ship stronger. Or you have another one where it's gonna shield you basically. So for as long as that ship is near, it's gonna buff the shields of like 3-4 ships around. So they're gonna like add additional layer of protection. So obviously this adds to the strategic fights where you need to kill the logi ship first. Like so someone has to scan, figure out, oh shit, we need to kill like these 3 ships
Yeah.
because they are constantly pumping, repairing hulls, buffing shields, giving them more power or whatever it is, rearming, for example, and stuff like that. And there are some support ships in Star Citizen already, right? As in like repair ship, for example. What's the name? Crucible? No, what's the name?
Um yeah, it is the Crucible. And then
Right?
there's the Vulcan.
And Vulcan, yeah. But these are like more like stations where like land or
No,
dock.
the Vulcan does repair, refuel, rearm via drones.
Okay. Well, if that happens, like
Yeah.
I would like drones, but like again, this is one of those things where they imagine the ship and it sounds awesome, but we don't have any of that. Drones were in the game before though. I wasn't playing, but I
Yeah,
remember
they were different though. Those were
Astro.
just yeah. But in this case, the drones, the way that they've shown them, anyways, are like manually piloted by a player.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like an auto like repair drone that you send out. It's like, somebody's actually controlling that as if it was a ship, basically, like a remote turret, but with a ship.
So these are not like active combat support roles.
No,
They
you're
are
right. And that, like, I was actually, that's why I was kind of like off in my own world thinking about things, because I'm trying to think of like ones that are more kind of active combat support,
well
and
like
I don't
Kraken,
really
but
know if
again,
there are
like
any.
there are none, right?
The Mantis is kind of an active combat support role.
But not like
Um,
friendly. Like he's not supporting your.
no, he's a debuffer
Yeah,
basically, or like
yeah.
a Weber.
Like that's offensive support kind of. So
Yes, yeah,
what I'm wondering is if we are even going to have any of these, or they just opted out of it, which seems to be the case. And I'm not saying uh, we need or we don't need this. I kind of like these roles. They're my personal favorite when it comes to combat.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, in Eve, when I started playing actual organized PvP, I used to play an interceptor. So think of M50 for example. So this interceptor can be fitted to fight, but I wouldn't even have guns. Like all of my everything I have, all the power will go into speed. And
yeah.
so what I would do is like I would orbit around certain enemy ships while my carrier players would attach their drones to orbit around me. Use my velocity and basically therefore
Right.
deal damage, right? So some like crazy idea of I'm not really dealing any damage, but like I'm chasing
Yeah,
down, and then
yeah.
um and then when I'm not fighting I would be like intel ship basically. Like I would jump through the gate, see if anyone's there, run away because super quick and whatnot. But even that like is kind of a support. I then later on I really like the logic ships where you can actually like I just like the idea of like how we have the triangle now with like capacitors.
Yeah.
And what if I'm next to you and there's like three ships and I can like boost your power so you can actually have better rate of fire while I'm around or something like that.
I don't. I'm racking my brain to think of like how you do defensive, or like those actual support roles. I mean, I guess potentially like the um
But
E-War
to MOM,
E-War
no?
could be defensive. Like if like for example, Sentinel, for example, is supposed to be like an E-War ship, and it's possible like you could be jamming like targeting for your friendly players or whatever, potentially,
Mm,
where like you're making it so that like enemy ships can't lock you, potentially even like stripping missiles. Like if there's like if you see somebody lock up and fire a missile at one of your like friendlies, potentially like if you're in an E-War role, you might be able to like disrupt the lock of that missile or something like that. um, so
okay.
those are 2, like, support, like, non-offensive support options that
Yeah, but
I
both
could
of these
see.
ships are also like very, very offensive ships. I would like okay, here's the
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
Like there's
That's
some
what I'm saying, like,
ships that I really love, like Mantis, but it'd be cool if you had another variant of Mantis that instead of that, you can use the same hull, but like different color, whatever, DD in this case, but like have something else that like when you stop and you start like spinning, it's giving some benefit. Now, a lot of people will be against this for sure, uh, and I'm not saying I'm for it or not. I'm just like thinking about would it be cool if we had something like that in Star Citizen or not?
well, I don't know, like, I think it would be, I just can't. I'm
Oh,
just having
here's
a
one. Like tractor beam, like towing. That's
yeah.
definitely so SRV basically.
Wait, but
I
how
mean, like in the middle of battle, Gladius is disabled. You tow it back to
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's a good call. tow it back to like
Whatever fixes
like
it,
your rear
Kraken or
lines
whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where your crucible or your
Exactly,
Vulcan
exactly.
is.
Fix it, go back. You know.
Um, but actual in combat repairs obviously are kind of a no-no just with how they've said that they want to do repair. Um, so basically like healers are out, at least combat healers.
Well, no. Well, listen. Repair is one thing, but we do have shields, right? And
That's
shields,
true.
we have shields. We have power, and shields are affected by its own like strength plus by power of your capacitor. So you do have two resources that you can play with, kind of
That's true. Okay. You know what would be neat is if they mod because like let's be honest, the Mantis right now, like
useless.
yeah, yeah, well like even if you were using it for its intended role and interdicting and stuff like that, the person who has to fly the Mantis, I kind of feel bad for him. I think
We did it.
like
I
I
kind
think
of liked it, but
well,
it,
it's
it
either
does
you're going to
require
be
a
flying for
specific.
your life, because everybody's trying to mob you, like the other side is trying to kill the
Well, welcome to
Mantis.
support, bro.
It- or or it's boring because basically all you're doing is sitting there and like pew pewing away with a couple size threes.
There's
Um,
certain
but like,
there's
what if
certain satisfaction if you do this right. Like we used to jump from EO to Green Hacks, I think, and then quit our jump drive in the middle, and then someone would give us intel that I don't know Caterpillar is jumping from one side to the other, and then I would turn on QED, and we used to be able to kick them out of. I don't know if this still works. Kick them out because they're going through the same fucking lane. They're not.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, and we
No, but
we
that
stop their
like
their jump and then we attack
sure.
them. So and
Okay,
they're
but my
sorry, go
point I
ahead.
was trying to get at was like not it's not necessarily that the Mantis isn't useful. It's more that um like what like it would be potentially interesting to expand its role to a point where it I don't know, maybe via variant or something or component change or something like that could do
Component
like
change.
what you're saying where you are basically able to like beam power to other ships to kind of like you said like boost weapon capacitors, boost shields potentially, like within a certain proximity or something like that.
I mean, we literally
Um
have the opposite with the what's the name?
distortion guns?
Shockwave. No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
EMP.
EMP.
Yeah.
So like, imagine if like Mantis,
Oh, that's a
you
neat
could
idea.
change, right? Like change your little ball of fur, whatever.
Yeah.
Red
Yeah, yeah,
one
yeah.
is QED, blue one is EMP, right? White one is shield buffer
Reverse EMP.
or
Yeah.
reverse EMP. Yeah. Something like
Oh,
that.
hey, that's something that's interesting too. As distortion damage becomes more prevalent,
You
like
shoot your
more used,
friendlies.
and EMPs and stuff like no, 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 no.
Okay.
Just something like a support role that's like specifically um
Well,
kind
Weber,
of
basically.
designed to counter like distortion and EMP.
Oh, okay.
So like the effects of EMP. So similar to like how in like WoW, for example, if you get CC'd, like a some classes
We
can
have that.
cleanse you.
I mean, we don't have it in game, but we have it as a concept, right? Because EMP counters EMP, and Sentinel is supposed to have an EMP missile. So if I see, um,
Doesn't counter EMP.
yeah, you're in a hawk and
Unless you're
you're
just
flying
shooting
hot
different.
towards us, I hit you with an EMP missile. You're out of power. Good luck EMPing my group of
Okay,
ships.
okay, sure, 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 sure. But what I mean is like negating the effects. Or if somebody is
I know what
EMP,
you're saying.
basically like, being able to like pulse or something and like undo or lessen the effects of that EMP. So those are like well, I mean, again, like we're full on imagine here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
ships don't like these are something I could see to kind of like
It's so
add
cool, right?
something to the like the rock paper scissors kind of like squadron comp mix,
Yeah,
you know?
I think every QED ship potentially, so Cutlass Blue as well, could potentially be. Maybe you can just switch this one component and make it so that you're more suitable for certain situation, right? In combat.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can swap things in Alliator or Cuddy or oh
And
Cuddy, sorry.
this is something we haven't really seen them tackle a lot, but uh, and we've talked about this before, but like almost every MMO has the ability to slow or web or um
Well, we
hamstring
talked about it. Webbing is needed, and it's very like useless right now in this game.
yeah,
Right?
but like that is something that could potentially, be an additional role for the mantis. I think that was actually our conclusion too, was that like the mantis should basically have something that, you know, makes it so that engines have to work harder to accelerate. So it just like slows the acceleration
Hmm.
of a ship in its field or something, right? Like
I'd like these
some
to
sort
be
of like
missiles
slow.
that you can avoid, right? So the missile is being fired at you. You either have like PDC or uh, decoys, but if you fuck up, you're
Oh wait, you
slowed
know what?
down.
I just distortion missiles are definitely going to be a thing, and distortion weapons. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think can your engines actually take distortion damage because they aren't actually a component yet. Like, not really. They're not something you can change. If you take distortion damage, does it affect your engine performance?
I mean, I
If
don't
it
know.
doesn't, if it doesn't, then that's the obvious thing, basically. But it
Yeah.
doesn't really leave a lot for a specific support role
I
in
think
that class.
webbing is very important, but like recoverable webbing, sort of,
Yeah.
where
Well,
someone has to
because
maintain it or you can escape.
yeah. Well, that's why distortion weapons would work great for that because you still have to hit them. You have to lower their shields, and then you have to start actually hitting their engines basically with distortion guns.
The
You
issue
know,
with that is like for as long as you have shields, you cannot be stopped.
yeah, but like distortion guns strip shields pretty damn fast. That's part of their role, I think. Combat support ships, there's a lot more options. Because then, like I said, I mean, like having a ship like the Mantis that's like offensively focused with distortions, you're technically a support role there, but you're like much more offensive. Ditto with like the
Yeah,
Sentinel with like
offensive we have for
E-War
sure.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like there's lots of offensive support options.
I mean, we have a
But
medic like in game, and we have a gun that heals. You do have to come close, right? But they did
yeah,
mm, speculate on like a little bit of a range on that, if I'm not wrong. Or am I tripping that?
yeah, no, they're definitely the only reason they didn't want to do a beam-based healing. They
Just
just
fire a
basically,
fucking um,
you know,
pen to someone's butt, like
I guess there's that, but
as
they
a
just said
projectile.
basically it's like it's too messy to have two players trying to stand next to each other and, perform like roles that aren't or like actions that aren't just basically shooting a
Mm.
beam at them. But yeah. So I don't think that would work though with with repairing cuz like from what they've said about repairing, they wanted it to be like again,
No, I
like
agree.
pretty
I agree.
localized, right? But like
I,
if
I
people are
think
flying
repair is
around,
out of question. Like if your hull
yeah,
gets
I think
damaged,
so
if you
too.
lose a wing, you
Yeah,
gotta
you
you
got to
gotta
go.
disengage
Yeah,
somehow and then
exactly.
get repaired. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is shields and power. But like
Man,
think of
that's
it.
another thing. Sorry. This
Mhm,
kind of like the whole like disengaging thing just reminded me. I'm just going to jump back to the time to disable thing.
mhm.
That is something I could like it with a uh more granular like damage system. I could absolutely see like disengaging being more of a thing, you know. Like you start to take damage and you just realize fuck it, I got to get out of here,
Well,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To me, that's always as long as you can, right?
But nobody does now, right? Because it's so fast.
Bro, like yesterday when or what 2 days ago when I was doing Xenotrat, I was
Yeah,
running
yeah,
away
yeah.
like a
I guess more so I'm talking
PP. Yeah, yeah.
PvP. Yeah.
But no,
So
no.
many
When you
people
when you
still just
watch
fight
like
to the
two
death.
people who are like good at PvP, they do disengage.
Mm.
But they try to disengage while they can still recover shields or whatnot, like before. before they lose like wings or whatever. But I mean, it happens obviously, but like then
Yeah.
you are at deeper disadvantage.
Yeah.
I also
I
don't know.
like the
Like
idea of the
yesterday,
shield
someone
boosting though.
rammed Idris with the 890 jump and just like bounced off. I don't know what they're going to do with that like bouncing thing. Like it's so ridiculous.
That is something that they mentioned. It was either in a monthly report or something that they were working on, like, collision updates because
Dude,
nobody's happy with that.
this guy, like he flies in, he misses the fucking Idris. Or like
What?
it
How do you
takes him
miss an
like
Idris?
5 minutes to like turn around, come back, and then hit, like ram it. But then they just like bounced off each other, and nothing really happened. I mean, for sure some damage happened. I don't know, but no one exploded. I don't know. It's so goofy. Like that whole like I hit you, I ram you, and then I bounce off
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
it's
just
super
silly as
goofy.
fuck. The collision needs to change somehow.
Yep. It's on their workflow anyways,
Okay.
apparently. Something they're working on. But I agree because that also there's just times where, like, I fly and I just, like, impact the ground or, like, clip the station or something, and I'm like, "I should be dead right now,"
Yeah.
but for some reason I'm not. Like, and and I'm, like, simultaneously happy and sad about it.
I- in their video about the new Gravlev, they're like, this is so much like better to like drive around, and they have this like image of like whoever is using it is like hitting the little like rock formation and doing a flip and continuing, but it's like an accidental flip, and then you do it like 3-4 times in a row, and it's like. Come on, man. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is this? I feel like you're
Yeah,
playing like the Mario Kart or whatever. Like,
totally.
but collision is tough, man. Especially if you have like physicalized damage and whatnot. I don't know. It's gonna
Yep.
be rough. Yeah.
I like that. Now I'm like, I feel I sound like I'm running out of steam on the support role ships thing, but more so I'm just like now you got my mind going because I'm like I also
I think
really
that's what I
like playing
wanted.
support roles in MMOs and like but I'm just really struggling to come up with
No,
other
but this is
ways that
literally what I wanted. I wanted to like bring it up so that us and like people who are listening can maybe think about it, because I never hear any conversations about this in Star Citizen like circles ever. No one ever mentions this, and I really, from a perspective of someone who plays a space MMO and really enjoys, playing these support roles. I mean, these are so silly when you literally figure out, oh, you just made the difference in this fight. Like
yeah,
it's so satisfying, and you didn't
it
fire a
is
shot.
super satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see a lot of people who are doing like industry and whatnot. Like, let's say you're a scrapper or miner or whatever, and you're not really too good with like dogfighting. You can still find that like role, you know, doing something good for a team that when they're fighting, and like, and
Yeah, well,
obviously
I think that's hugely important. If
it would increase time to
if
kill as well, by the way, just saying.
sure, yeah, but beyond that, I think, like, if you want a healthy if you want a healthy MMO, you have to have, variety in the roles that people can play, you know? Like,
Yeah.
if it's all just, you know, joystick dogfighting, like, you're just gonna limit
I'm just not
who
interested in that straight up. Like, I don't, yeah.
yeah. I guess the other thing we didn't really talk about as far as, like, friendly support roles or damage or sorry non-offensive roles is like with respect to like larger ships too.
For sure. I can see how
Like
crew
like
can
what could
be supportive, like is as Angie's or.
yeah, but I'm also thinking like in a fleet operation, like what kind of options would there potentially be for like larger ships to support um their fighter craft beyond just basically finding being a place for them to like come repair rearm potentially, right? Like I'm picturing like I don't know, some sort of support cruiser or something in the middle of like a squadron of fighters that are engaged. Like what options do you have potentially there as like a larger ship to kind of act as like a
It's not really a
friendly
thing. Like if you
support?
look at Navy, for example,
Yeah, of course it isn't because, there's it's
you
not
have
how
like
it works
logi
in real
ships,
life,
like
but
right, they
this is the game.
refuel, they repair, but
Yeah,
it's not like a
but they're
destroyer
not
can
out.
maybe smoke or but it's not like the battleship is going to support anyone. They're there to
Yeah,
pew
I know.
pew,
But like but again, we're playing a game and
I know,
like
I don't
from
know,
a
but
from like a space game perspective, like did you ever play Homeworld? I can't remember if you played
I
Homeworld.
this was so long ago though. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, Homeworld, there were larger ships that were like, beneficial to just have in the middle of a combat fleet kind of a thing.
T-
They were either
Yeah. In
and
Eve, they made it so that like the biggest ships are not support ships, but you also can like create like stations, kind of like a small docking stations that if you come close in like certain circle of it, you get connected with this beam, and this beam just like gives you so much shield that if someone is like fighting you, they need to like really work hard to kill you.
Mhm.
But that's a stationary object in space. It's not like a big. I guess you could have something like, I don't know. What would be super cool if like one of those alien motherships would actually support like what's the name? What's the main enemy that we were fighting?
Van Duel, the kingship.
Mandul, yeah. So if like their little like smaller ships are flying nearby, they like get regenerated or something because they
Yeah, I
have
don't know.
some cell technology, whatever, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the shield and power boosting, like now that I'm actually thinking about it, like again, I can't really think of any non-offensive things that a support ship would kind of do for. But like I could see, like offensively, I could see like the capital ship being able to like use flak to kind of like to peel enemies off of off of like certain
I mean,
ships
you
or
can
something like that.
physically
Or
block something with the
yeah, well,
size of your
yeah,
ship.
your ships can like literally hide behind, you
Yeah.
know, kite
But
around
that's
your
more like
large ship.
tactics, right? Kind of like
Yeah,
formations and
yeah,
whatnot, which is important for or
yeah,
will hopefully be important.
yeah. And then like hacking is like a whole other thing offensively that we don't really know, but they have said a couple times they plan on, you know,
Well, I don't know if we're
having
gonna
like
have
real
cloaking,
time hacking. No, they've
because
said no cloaking.
without cloaking, you can't really. How are you going to infiltrate to another ship in combat? You know what I mean? You can be
No,
stealthy,
no, no,
but
no. No, as in like
EVA.
remote hacking from like basically utilizing an electronic warfare suite to like actually actively hack a ship um
Hmm.
remotely. It's something that they've toyed with. I don't know if they've committed one way or the other,
I'm
but yeah.
scared of that. But I mean,
It
it's an
could, yes.
interesting concept, but that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Everything like that takes away controls of my ship for like serious amount of time proves to be like fucking annoying. Unless you can like
Yeah.
actively fight against it while it's happening. It's like in certain expansions in World of Warcraft, if you're playing a healing
Yeah.
paladin, you're just a pinball running around the arena and then being a sheep and then running more. You're just like
Yep.
super good
Yep.
like
Well, back to vanilla days
training.
where a rogue could like full on stun lock you to death.
TBC
That
as
was no
well.
fun.
Parking service rogue, we used to call it. You can't do anything. You have every 2 minutes you have your trinket, and that just gets to a point where it's just not fun if you are not playing. You can't
It's
play your
true,
character.
but a little bit of CC
Oh, for sure.
is
And
good.
and
Yeah.
CC, what I said, like if someone has to maintain it and you can kind of fight it to like get out of it, even if it's like a mini game between two people. You CC someone, then you have to play a game of Tetris.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, if well, I hope it gets to a point where it's interesting.
Yeah.
I like the idea of non-combat roles, and I think initially I would be fully satisfied to see them at least give us like a peek of like what they plan for electronic warfare. Because again, like I feel like that has potential to be both like offensive support and also like defensive support, and that could be pretty
And also
fun.
like both wartime and peacetime use. Yeah, it's gonna be like fucking interesting. And if you think about it, like we don't have a salvage. Well, we have a salvage ship in the game. We have reclaimer. I want to say you don't have salvage ships in the game, but you already have like warfare ships or some that are capable of stuff like hacking even and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, all right, but my already, like we even talked about this more than I expected. I actually wanted to just spark the idea, and maybe I don't know. We can come up with a new mechanic and do nothing with it. We can be real armchair devs and
We're really
design a
good at
ship.
being we're really good at being real armchair devs. Yeah.
Already,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. While we're in the imagination station, who cares?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Totally.
I think that's it. We have a question
Oh yeah, Dell
from
asked
Dell.
a question.
Hmm.
Um, any news on fixes for positional desync that still seems to persist, and the exploitation of it that some people use to troll people for easy kills?
Interesting. This coming from Delicia, who
Yeah.
totally plays the game. Uh,
Honestly, the last we heard of it, so far as I'm aware, is the was at CitizenCon from the network panel, where they basically said, "Yeah, we know it's a thing,
mm,
but like
they
there's no
acknowledge
easy
it,
fix
but
for it." Yeah.
I
But
I
I
do,
I personally feel like, at least in 315, like, end of 315 and, like, it to me, it felt like it wasn't as bad as it has been in, like, previous
oh, it's
patches, like
bad.
313, 314.
Like between players, it's horrible. I remember, yeah, we were testing this recently with Esu. She drove Ursa Rover out of Carrick from about like 3-4 kilometers and started like falling down to see if she's gonna survive. And I was in Pisces and I was trying to kind of like catch her. And man, we were like comparing screens in real time. On my screen, I am like 200-300 meters under her. On her screen, I am above her half a kilometer and like to the side or something. It literally does not read. Like if you're moving, it just goes bonkers. Like it makes no sense.
Hmm, okay, so
So
still super bad.
it definitely happens. When it comes to like PvE, like if you're fighting other ships, they still occasionally will like reset their position, like it's flying, and it's like gonna reset a little bit backwards. It continues on that trajectory. But like in PvE, it's not that big of a deal for now. But when it comes to PvP, it's annoying. And then Xeno bro, like people are teleporting. It's not like constant, but like you literally, someone can just teleport in front of you and you smash into them, and then you
That's so
hope they
bad.
don't. Yeah.
It's interesting that it is that bad, and, like, that's one thing I didn't really hear when I was listening to people talking about, Jumptown and so actually, no, I take that back. Wasn't it that detox video you sent me where he killed himself with the missile launcher because of desync? Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
ships like going underground, and then flying out of the.
Ye yeah. Yeah. Just emerging from the ground.
Yep.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know what this is, Dell. I am not sure if these are servers, like server related issues, or
They said
network
it is.
coding or bot, but
Yeah,
it's
probably
definitely
both.
something that I don't think any of us expect fixed anytime soon. What really sucks though is Star Citizen has closed environment kind of battleground for both FPS and like flight, which is called Arena Commander, where you literally create a private session potentially, or join someone else's session, and it's
Yeah.
like imagine like in World of Warcraft you had like private arena or private Warzone God, for example, and you fight each other. Or the problem is that used to be okay, but there's this thing there now as well, which is so crazy. Where
Yeah.
we
So you
speculated
can't
about like
even.
if they implemented that into into PU or not. Like I don't know. That's so strange.
Yeah. I don't know either. Just something in their the way they do their network coding, I guess. If you're right, like if it's in Arena Commander as well, it can't simply be server based. I mean, unless they're spinning up a no, because the server tick rate should still be high. So why is desync bad? I don't know. Yeah, no, it's
It's a
I
good
like I said, I haven't really been
question.
playing, but so I don't know kind of like how it is initially or how it is right now. But yeah, no,
Well,
it's disappointing to hear that it's still super bad. It's just interesting that I like desync used to be literally all I heard about it, but I think everybody just got sick of
I just got used to it.
talking about it.
But also there are other issues now where I don't know if you remember when like 3.15 came out, everything was so smooth and responsive. I just feel like server just deteriorate as the time goes. Now nothing, like everything has that input lag again, and it just feels, I mean, janky for the lack of a better word. Like it's just like nothing is as responsive as when they cleaned everything. So I don't know. That's one of those things that once they either change the servers they're using or
Yeah,
fix whatever the fuck is causing it, it's
get all
gonna
that shit
literally be a
moved over to
different
the
game.
replication layer and
Mm.
all that stuff that basically, yeah, reduces the overall load on whatever server you're on.
But kind of sucks. It's true.
Really
And
sucks. Yeah.
even though like Dell, I know she's not playing the game, but if you watch someone play, these are it's like because when you are flying the ship and this thing happens, like you would know what's happening. But if you're watching, I watched a couple of times and it's just so disorienting and confusing because you don't even like you're not even flying right the ship or whatever, and it's like it's so silly to see that. Yeah, but hey, that's the state of the game. It is what it
Where we
is.
live right now.
Yeah. All right. You wanna sign us off? What man?
Yeah,
This
I
is
guess
a
so.
record that like 3 hours 30 minutes. Holy shit!
And we actually had a lot to talk about this time. I thought we were going 4 hours at least,
I mean, we're
but
close to 4 hours. I kind of like it. I mean, this is perfect. It's very long
yeah, yeah,
still,
yeah.
but like it's still like
I feel like 3.5 hours is perfect.
it's really good.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Anyways,
we're doing this other podcast now, and 1 hour, man.
yeah, yeah.
I don't feel that like it doesn't happen. She's like, okay,
Those
we
are
should
rookie
close it.
numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? It's been an hour? Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you're here with us live, thanks for hanging out. Uh, yeah, and if you are watching this on YouTube, throw us a like and a subscribe if you want to see this more regularly. Right now our schedule is kind of up in the air. I know Chegg, you got this new job thing that's so we're kind of on like a twice monthly or once monthly sort of a schedule at this point, but you can follow me on Twitter if you want updates. Usually, I'll try to give like a little bit of an update if we're going to do an episode, kind of just throughout the week before Sunday rolls around. Um, yeah, like I mean, we do this just kind of for fun or whatever. But yeah, likes and comments and stuff are just fun to see. We usually have some pretty good conversations going on in the comment section. But yeah, so if you have any comments about anything we've talked about, we do our best to kind of keep tabs and have conversations, etc. Yeah. Other than that, it was
Well,
a short episode.
yeah. I mean, short.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. It was great fun as always, and we'll see you next time, whenever it is. Probably 2 weeks. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.